Hello and welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm your host, Joe Scott. I'm joined by Tony Tones at RT. How are you, Tony?
Hello, I'm doing well. Another Sunday.
Another Sunday. This week we're going to be talking about April Fools, Switch 2, Triple I Initiative, and the spring anime season, Tony. It's finally here. New anime is coming in, so...
Is it just like something lots of things come out? Is that just like
Yeah, so
scheduled
there's just...
release? Okay.
We've just had winter season, which is kind of strange, because it's some of it... It's sort of like January time, I think, winter season is. But then you have stuff that's still carrying like it's broken into stuff that is just coming out at this point. So I think like April 7th, a bunch of stuff was airing, and then there's also stuff that's like ongoing, and then you'll have stuff that is continuation. So it's like new seasons of stuff that's already come out. But then like
yeah.
Say for example, I think Orb aired in like autumn. I think Orb started airing in autumn, but it finished airing like just at the end of the winter season. So you'll have shows that'll go over the seasons based on the length.
Yeah. It's when it starts.
Yeah. But yeah. So should we talk about some games I've been playing? Tony, one of the games that was revealed as part of April Fools was Dreams of Aether, which was a WarioWare style game. It's sort of like a mini game collection, but it's made by the team who do Rivals of Aether, which is like a 2D fighting game. Let's have a look.
Oh yeah.
They published it. It's the developer is it's a different developer, but it's the same publisher, because he says on the person says on the page, well, I hope they approve of this, but it's published by them. So I'm like, well, surely they are, but it's basically a bunch of characters. I have no idea who they are, and then there's WarioWare mini games in between. So you have 10 seconds to detonate a bomb or go fishing or do stuff. I thought it was pretty fun. It was free to play. They basically gave it away on April 1st for free, and then I think it cost a couple of pounds. It's not very long. I've played it for like 30 minutes, and I have completely finished the game.
Okay.
Might talk about it more in depth if I do like a roundup of some of it. We need to do some... I have been playing so many games recently, Tony. We need to do a roundup of tangerines of games I've been playing. But
yeah.
As somebody who hasn't played the Rivals of Aether games, there was like a bunch of dialogue, and I was like, skip. I don't care. And I just wanted to play the WarioWare game modes, and they were pretty fun, but ultimately, I don't think there was much replay value. But for the price of free, I mean, I can't complain. So I've been playing Dreams of Aether. I've also been playing Haste. I said on the previous Next Fest, I was like, there's 4 games I'm thinking about buying on release. And Haste was one of them. And in Landfall tradition, Tony, I don't know if you remember this, but Landfall likes to release a game every April 1st. And Haste was the April 1st release. I think last year was previously recorded. They did. They've done games like, I think Totally Accurate Battle Simulator may have been one. There was a weird night one with roses.
Right, okay.
Let's have a look. Nightfall, A Daring Journey. That was a free game they gave out on 2022 for April Fools. Rounds was a paid one in 2021 for April 1st. So they are continuing the tradition of just releasing a game on April 1st for their... There was a Battle Royale thing, wasn't there? Totally Accurate. It wasn't...
Oh!
There was a Totally Accurate Battlegrounds? Is
that... There's Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, right? The tabs.
Yeah.
Was that an April 1st release?
There was a... There was like a PUBG style one as well, which I think may have been free to play as well. But anyway, I've been playing Haste, and it's really fun. I should probably do like a video on it. I'll give you a tease, actually. This game also launched with workshop support, Tony.
That's huge.
So I'll just show you now. This is what I've been downloading from the workshop. I don't know if you're watching the stream.
Yeah.
Somebody's already made a mod that replaced you with Sonic, and it runs kind of awfully. And they were like, I don't really want to put any more effort than this into it. Here you go. And people are just like, yeah, you just need to replace the star bits with golden rings, and we're good to go, you know. This game feels. This game feels like what I would want a Sonic game to feel like, but it's nothing like a Sonic game. If you get what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
this is the direction I would like 3D Sonic to go.
I feel like if you had like open world stuff than like the normal levels that you went to, like in like this sort of thing, so
Yeah.
I could see that working.
But yeah, I've been playing. I was streaming this on Discord, and my friends were like, "This is like Subway Surfers for adults," and I was like, "Yeah, kinda." It's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very like I will sit and I'll play this for like I think I played endless mode and just sat and played it for like 2 hours. I was just zoned out,
Oh, wow,
just
okay.
running around. You can get really
It does look
fast
fun.
on endless mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been really enjoying this. We'll have to do a tangerine on that. And then we have. Oh, I've been playing Schedule 1. I believe it's called Schedule. I kept calling it Schedule I because it's an I in the picture, and I was like, wait a minute, it probably means I as in Roman numeral I.
Yeah.
So it's probably just 1.
I already schedule one.
Tony, this is a game about simulating dealing drugs and basically setting up like a drug empire and selling them and avoiding the cops. And when I saw this, I was like, it kind of looks like a indie low budget version of like GTA or
Oh yeah.
like Gary's Mod Dark RP, like having like money printers and drug labs and stuff on that, giving me like big vibes from that. I have spent about 10 hours on this game playing it multiplayer with friends, and I've only ever picked up litter and gambled, and that's all I do in this game, which I just find hilarious.
Just upright standing citizen.
I have the achievement for picking up 500 pieces of trash. Yeah, I have the upstanding citizen achievement, and I just find it
You
hilarious.
got stopped by the police yesterday, and you were above board.
Yeah. I just think it's so funny that like my friends are doing all this drug stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna pick up litter from the street so I have enough money to go to the casino and go and gamble. And it's actually kind of working to a point where I'm actually making quite a lot of money from the casino. I've learned to ride the bus. I'm hitting the slots, you know. I don't like blackjack, actually. Blackjack's kind of bullshit. I think blackjack actually...
There's only 3 games.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a...
Okay.
My biggest complaint is we need a high rollers casino because I can only bet 500 on Ride the Bus and I can only bet 1,000 on blackjack. I need like to be betting thousands, 10,000s, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I've been satiating my gambling addiction through ethical, non-paid in-game stuff. So
Not IRL gambling.
But yeah, we'll talk about schedule on a tangent at some point. Let's move on to the next section. I got some Switch games. Let me pull them up. So they are doing Switch 2 versions of Switch 1 games, and I was looking at the prices because they've put out the pre-orders for the Switch 2 editions, and I think it's like £65, something like that, for the physical edition of the upgrades for the Switch 2 stuff we'll be talking about later. And I can just look it up. It's like Mario Party Jamboree, £65 for the Switch 2 version plus the upgrade. And I was looking at the prices of the actual cartridges, and I was like, I could get a copy of Super Mario Party Jamboree for £35, and as long as the upgrade fee is under what? I spent £35, so it would have to be under £30, and it would actually, I would spend less money just buying the Switch 1 version and then upgrading it. So that's what I did. because I was like, well, if I buy the Switch 1 version, I can just play it now, and then I can just upgrade it later when the Switch 2 comes. So
Yeah,
I picked up
they're both ways.
Super Mario Party Jamboree. I've been playing this. I've just been playing the mini games. I've been finding it pretty fun. I was playing the online mini games as well, but I don't like how they do the system of online mini games. You like queue up, you play one mini game with random people through their matchmaking, and then that's it, and it kicks you out, and then you have to queue up again to play another mini game. And I'm like, why is this so slow and convoluted? Why can't I just be in a lobby with random people and we just keep playing mini games until we get bored? This feels like really slow. So I picked that up. I also was like, well, I've been wanting to grab Mario Maker 2 for a while, so I've grabbed a copy of Mario Maker 2, and I've been playing that as well. And I've also got Kirby. I've got Kirby, so I'll be able to upgrade because that one's getting a Switch 2 upgrade as well. So this is my.
Okay.
I do have some random games that I think my mum has as physical cartridges, but they're like Lego games. So.
Okay. I think we're getting more into it later, but I assume, do we know details about the upgraded version?
Yeah, we do in yen and US dollars. So I can speculate based on that, but we have no information about European or UK prices.
What about like what features we're expecting from the upgrade, or is it just like
I can tell you, but I could.
Okay.
So in the case of the Legend of Zelda upgrades, it's basically a resolution FPS bump, and they're adding like a weird phone app thing. I can talk about it later when we go into the Switch 2 thing.
Yeah. That's fine.
Super Mario Party Jamboree, they're adding brand new mini games. So that's like basically the Kirby and the Jamboree ones are more expensive because Jamboree, you're getting what's called Jamboree TV, which is adding new mini games for the microphone, the new mouse mode, and it's also adding mini games for the camera as well that they're adding. And then for Kirby, they're adding brand new like remixed courses, and I'm like, mate, if they're doing I 100%ed Kirby, so like if they're adding DLC like expansion level content for Kirby, I've got to like get that when the Switch 2 comes out because I absolutely love Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be upgrading that. But yeah, it was legitimately cheaper to buy Switch 1 versions and upgrade later. So I was like, well, why didn't I just do that? And then I can play them now.
I find that an odd decision to make.
Yeah, I mean,
why not just make both the same, but have parity between them? Make it just the same.
Well, we'll talk about it later, but apparently the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 Switch edition, so the version with the Switch 2 version that's supposed to be the technically superior version, doesn't come with the DLC for the original Breath of the Wild from fucking 10 years ago now. So
that's okay. That's kind of wild.
But yeah, I've been playing Super Mario Party Jamboree. I've just been mostly playing the mini games. I'm not really a big board game guy in terms of like. I always find that I need to play the board game more because I play it with my friends when they have it, and they're always like they're always super into it, and they're like, "You need to do this and go here," and I'm just like, I don't understand what's happening half the time when it comes to the board aspect.
Yeah, they just play. I see they play it with them. There's no way they just play it by themselves and min max it. So they
you could play with CPUs because when I'm playing the mini games by myself, I'm playing with the CPUs, and I'm preferring to play with the CPUs because the online stuff is so fucking slow.
Oh yeah. In terms of that, but I just he did the board games like so you only do it like around friends or like at a party sort of thing. Surely.
Well, you can also do it online. Like I was speaking to my friend Luke, and I was like, we should just queue up onto Switch Online and play together at some point because we both got Switch Online. So I'm like, well, we both have the game, so we might as well. So yeah, that's the Switch games that I've been. Mario Maker 2 is really fun. I really like Mario Maker, and The one thing I don't like about Mario Maker 2 is that I have fucking Joy-Cons, and I hate playing. I've
Yeah.
okay. I've pre-ordered the Pro controller for the Switch 2, and I can't wait for it to come here because this fucking thing where you attach Joy-Cons onto it, it's so not good. It's taken me so long to get an actual controller for the Switch, and yeah, playing through a bunch of like precise 2D Mario games is just making it me wish it comes even sooner. Like I'm just like I need a new controller for the Switch because I can't stand the Joy-Cons.
Yeah, understandable.
Then we have some, but yeah, I like Super Mario Maker 2. I've been enjoying playing like the we'll probably do a tangerine on this because I've got footage of all of this. I've been playing some of the demos for there was the Triple I initiative, and some of them came up, and I was like, this looks kind of interesting. And then it said there's a demo available. I was like, well, rather than talking about the trailer and saying, yeah, this looks cool, why not just try it out and see what it's like? So I played 2 games. I played Clover Pit and Tears of Metal. I was streaming this to you yesterday, wasn't I? Clover Pit. This was the slot machine game.
Oh, yeah, I saw a little bit of it, yeah.
We probably won't do a tangerine on these, so I'll talk about them quickly. Clover Pit reminds me of like Buckshot Roulette in terms of the vibe of you must gamble or die, basically. But it's sort of like how many gambling roguelikes are we going to get, by the way? We have gambling, we have roguelite slot machines, we have Balatro, which is roguelite, poker. We have Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers, which is blackjack roguelite. There's a roulette roguelite that I have called Bingle Bingle.
Okay.
Roguelite gamblers are getting it big the past couple of years. We're really expanding the horizon here. But basically, what the vibe of this is, you have a goal that you have to make in terms of money, and if you don't make it in the deadline, you're stood on like a giant metal pit, and it'll just drop you into the pit, and you'll just be like, oh shit, I'm dead. And as you progress this deadline, you can spin a slot machine, and you have a choice between 7 spins or 3 spins, and the 7 spins cost more money, but gives you 1 less token, and then 3 spins cost less money, but you get less spins and you get 1 less token. And tokens are used to spend on upgrades. So these are like your tokens. Well, I guess these are like your trinkets that you have to be like. So for me, I had one where it's like I could push a button and diamonds would appear way more often. And then I could get other items that would be like, if a diamond appears, it's double value or stuff like that, right? Your general like roguelike stuff, you know? Oh, I forgot about Luck Be a Landlord is kind of literally a roguelite Duke Nukem Forever moment here. Luck Be a Landlord is like a roguelike slot machine, I'm fairly sure. Which I don't know, I don't know if you ever seen or heard of Luck Be a Landlord, but John Balatro himself, Local Thunk, said he was inspired to make Balatro because he watched Northern Lion playing Luck Be a Landlord.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I have heard of it. I've never looked into it though.
I just realized I'm still full cam, so you can't see any gameplay that I'm showing you right now. But it doesn't matter. I'm just talking about stuff. You get to see my beautiful mug. But yeah.
You're not on the Enterprise anymore.
No, you can see my pillows as I'm cleaning my sheets today. So
Okay.
they're in the tumble dryer at the moment. So I've just got random pillows behind me today. I can't hide my.
It's such a shame that Nvidia broke Enterprise too.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, basically, you're trying to you can take a piss and a dump for some reason, and it unlocks new trinkets. It's got that like weird charm to it. I don't know. I played a couple of rounds and I started seeing some more builds. Like one where I was just going for full diamonds. One where I was like. There's one where you can get like grandma's purse and it increases your interest rates because so you can like immediately spend all your gold and be like, I want to go to the next round. But when you go to the next round, your next deadline gets bigger and bigger. But what you can do is you can put more money into your bank, and then every time the rounds go on, you get interest based on how much money you have in the bank, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, there is this kind of like weird trade-off you make. I don't know if I'm gonna. I have to wait and see on this one. I'm not 100% sold on it at the moment, but I think it is. It's interesting at least. Clover Pit.
Okay. It looked interesting, but yeah, I didn't quite understand what the hell was. I didn't understand what the hell was happening. It's like you just see you going back and forth between things.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to. You get like I'm usually going for 7 spins, and I'm just trying to match symbols. And then you have
Yeah.
and then you're like, well, what if you don't get lucky? But then you can get like trinkets. Like I had one called Lucky Train, where if I didn't hit anything for 2 spins in a row, then it would guarantee me like a good lucky spin sort of thing. And then I had something called Lucky Cat, where if I got hit like I think it's like 3 or more tiles matching, it like doubled the value of them and stuff. So there is like cool inbuilt synergies. I would like to see more of this, but yeah, I thought this game was interesting at least. And then I also played Tears of Metal, which you thought this one, the UI at least looked pretty interesting to you.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I guess this kind of reminds me of what game it remind? But like, I guess you're going around with like a group. Like, I guess you're kind of raiding.
Yeah, it's kind of like. If I was going to think of a game it reminds me of, it's almost like when you're playing Battlefront 2 and you're playing as the Stormtrooper, but you still have like this army behind you.
That's it. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, I think I'm a sucker for like I don't know. I criticize like a lot of like UI trends online as like everything just looks the same. Like same for like phone app and I hate it.
What is that font called? Is it
I appreciate
Helvete or something? That font's called that is everywhere.
Yeah, that is the standard font. That's not. I don't have a problem with that standard font. It's just like does everything has to be like a boring white. Like, don't have to look so boring and just like. I don't know what. Yeah, it just looks awful. I don't know. I don't like it. And some of the things like, why is this the default? Like, I don't like this. Looks awful. But like, I just appreciate when like UIs look different and stylized.
I think
it's a lot of effort to put into it.
I think the problem I have sometimes is it can go too far the other way. When I'm playing a game...
Well, too stylized.
When I'm playing a game and I'm like, I want to change the sound option and I have to rotate an orb 20 times and then I have to diegetically move a character through a maze and I'm just bro, just let me fucking open the options menu.
Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't like it should be like I think as well. Like if you're gonna have interesting animations, it should be snappy. It shouldn't be in the way. It should just be there and like gone. And yeah, it should be like the layout. I think the standardized layout is fine. It's just like getting there like could just have better icons or more interesting visuals to them.
I think the gold standard has to be fucking Atlas, like Persona.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone's like. Because everyone's like, how do you make a menu system that's so interesting yet so usable at the same time? And they're just like,
yeah,
it's really fucking hard. Like, we spend so much time doing it, and like, we're glad people enjoy it because like, that's like going for something that looks good and is functional is like genuinely very hard.
That's why like I appreciate the UI on the phone I got the OnePlus phone is like that they're. I don't know if they're still doing it. They might have switched like teams and things, but like it was called Oxygen OS, and it's like they made it like every animation was snappy. It's like it wouldn't get in the way of what you were doing. It's like I really like compared to my old. Admittedly, I had like a cheaper, older phone beforehand, but it's like oh my god, this is so much better. But yeah, it's like you have to just designing it to look good and to like make it like actually usable. Like yeah, you have to really like it's really optimized for that.
But yeah, this is speaking of the actual game. This is Tears of Metal. It's basically like William Wallace Simulator. You're like a Scottish soldier.
Oh yeah.
With like a small contingency, and it's like set up like a roguelite. So it's sort of the gameplay is mostly like hack and slash. You go in, you slash, you dodge out the way, you can block. There's a heavy attack for shields, and then as you go through the levels and you can unlock perks. So there'll be stuff like, oh, if you use 5 light attacks in a row, then they become like 10% more powerful. Or every time you kill an enemy, you get like 5 movement speeds.
Like combo perks sort of thing.
Yeah, and then there'll be ones like if you like a passive where it's like your heavy attack now deals like a shockwave or something like that, and you can like sort of more spec into your playstyle. As you go along, and you'll get money as you go along as well, so you can like buy items or buy stuff from the merchant. There'll be like random
And as a
chests
Jedi,
around.
you just completely wreck everyone.
Yeah, you are the Jedi of this. Um, yeah, I hadn't really thought about this being like you are a Jedi on Battlefront 2 until like right
No, I
now.
didn't really. Yeah, it's a good comparison though. I think
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. I would actually love that to be like that would actually be so cool as like a Battlefront campaign where it's like you're the general. I think that'd actually be really cool.
One thing I found was that I was almost always taking healing perks because one thing I really struggled with this game playing through it felt like there wasn't really any good way to heal. So it was like really hard to keep your health up. And then if your health got too low, it's like, well, GG, I'm kind of done here, right?
Oh,
Because I got to like the boss, and then I was like a point where I had like 3% HP, and I was like, oh god, like I think I'm just gonna. If I take a single hit, I'm like dead.
Is that like blocking and parrying, or just like
There's
I don't know,
blocking that you can do,
less aggressive?
but like this boss is just like literally throwing lava on the floor constantly.
Oh, okay. That seems okay.
But as you kill like the lower tier enemies, you charge up like your command bar, and then you can like schedule a attack. So there's this like ultimate attack, which is the huge bar, which like cools down a massive rain of arrows that deals like 1 billion damage to everyone. You can do smaller attacks, so you can do one where it just forces your like unit to charge at someone and deal a bunch of damage. You can do one where it'll just shoot arrows in like a small green circle around somewhere that takes less than the full combo bar. So there is like options and strategy to it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And also apparently this is going to be like co-op as well, so you can play this like online multiplayer sort of thing, which I think makes it more interesting. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would be interested to see like, yeah, maybe a look at like, maybe I just walk past 500 campfires because they didn't really explain how like. You click on things on the map, and I could see one that was like a dice, and I was like, okay, that's going to be like a random chance to do something. There was one that was like, okay, this is a merchant because it looks like a merchant shop. But if there was a campfire one where I could like heal or something, I did not see it. So, also they were like, every time you play the game, you gain a moniker that is permanently like a passive. So one of your allies, you can choose a unique hidden effect for them that is permanent, and that I guess that's kind of like a Darkest Dungeon sort of thing where like your choices kind of go along with you, or like a Rogue Legacy thing where your like child like inherits a trait on your next run. I think there was like a deeper system with like a town thing. The demo crashed when I got to this point, so I have no idea what happened after this point. So yeah.
Why is it? It looks like a desktop menu. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, maybe it is like you're managing a town, like a Darkest Dungeon thing. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, let's move on to not games, Tony, because we're only 30 minutes into the podcast and we haven't talked about anything Switch 2 related. I've been watching horror films, as is tradition, and I've watched. I think I talked about the fact that we finished watching all of the Alien and Predator films. We picked out a bunch of films that we wanted to watch, and I put them on a wheel and I span it, and it landed on The Thing. And we're watching the Thing trilogy because most people know John Carpenter's The Thing, which I would say is probably the most famous film from the Thing trilogy. But it's actually based on a previous work, which I think it was even based on a book called The Thing from Outer Space is what it's called, or The Thing from Another World.
Yeah. I think it's something like that.
But yeah, I watched this. I thought it was quite good. The original. It was as someone who's never really sat down and watched a film from like the 50s, it was surprising how like not only like different things were back then, but also like it's not unwatchable now, which I thought was nice. I mean, I was watch partying it with a bunch of friends, and we were just cracking jokes how like the way everyone was talking to people. They were like, "Are these people English?" And I was like, "No, Americans just used to sound really posh, like the American dialect."
In films, especially, is that we have. But you know, like at the same time in the UK, it's like if you're like a news presenter, you had to speak the Queen's English because they thought that if you had a regional dialect, people wouldn't understand you.
Yeah, but it's so like the plot of this film,
Different time.
like I just find so funny now because like there are a bunch of Americans who go into the ice and they find this Martian UFO crash lands into the ice, and then immediately they're like, okay, let's blow the shit out of it with thermite. So that's immediately what they do. Then they pull this icicle out of the snow, and they're like, okay, we'll put it in the lab and we'll keep it cool. We'll leave the door open to the fucking Arctic and I'll keep it cool, and somebody will watch over it. And he's like, okay. And then he takes someone accidentally throws a heated blanket on it, so it starts melting, and because they've got orders not to interact with the alien or wake it up, and then chaos. And the funniest thing is, like, the alien wakes up, and immediately the American soldiers are like, they immediately pull out a gun and just start shooting it, no questions asked. And I'm like, this film is like Captain Kirk versus Picard. Like, Picard would immediately like, he would be like, diplomacy, I want to
Data, like, what does it say?
We have to talk to this alien, we have to find out what it's want. No. This is a Kirk film. He's gonna punch it in the face and he's gonna, kill that alien. Which I guess is indicative of the time. Like, this is like closer to old Star Trek sort of thing, right?
Yeah. It's a little bit before, right?
Yeah, there's no shape shifting in this film. It is just a straight up.
Is it not? Okay.
There is like it makes
amorphous or
it makes seeds, and they feed the seeds blood, and the creature feeds on blood, but we don't. The scientist guy who wants to talk to it and understand it, who they're like, you're a madman, we have to lock you up. You want to talk to this alien life form we just shot the shit out of. He starts growing like plants with the blood, and nothing happens with it. Basically, it gets to the end of the film and it's like, oh yeah, we destroyed those, basically.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. That's well written.
But yeah, the final scene in this film is hilarious. They're like, because they figure out it's weak to fire, so then they're like, okay, we should electrocute it because that's like a bunch of fire. And then it's walking along, and they've put this electric trap underneath these boards of wood. And then he's like, it's not walking on the boards of wood. So they like throw something at him, and he jumps onto the boards of wood, and then they zap him with electricity, and he just like slowly shrinks.
Okay. And the effects were worse back then, surely.
Yeah. And I sent you a photo.
No CGI.
Here he is.
Is it? Have you only just watched one of the films? Then, like, is this the start of you watching the quote unquote trilogy of The Thing?
No, I've watched John Carpenter's The Thing as well.
Okay.
I looked at this film.
The Thing before?
No. I sent you this photo at some point on Discord. I was like, I have to watch this film because this seems hilarious. This is what he looks like. Okay, so I was like, okay, maybe he makes a smaller version of himself. No, when they're melting him, like halfway through, he becomes like a small version to be like, oh, we're destroying him, sort of thing. I was really hoping there was going to be like a little Frankenstein alien dude that was running around, but there's none of that stuff in this film. It's all very much just there is one guy and we're going to kill him for reasons. Because we don't. To be fair, he does like. He is stealing blood and drinking it, and I think he kills like.
Well, to be fair,
animals.
In the Predator film, they don't try and speak to the Predator; they just try and kill him, right?
The Predator does try and kill them first. To be fair.
Yeah. You're saying it's more the Americans shooting first and not waiting for the monsters to do something.
I'm telling you, look up the scene where the guy comes out the ice and they just immediately shoot him. Okay. I thought it was hilarious.
Okay.
But yeah, I watched John Carpenter's The Thing, and I love John Carpenter's The Thing. I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
But immediately watching this, I think it's one of my favorite horror films I've seen so far from the collections I've been watching. I mean,
it is very good.
I mean, outside of Alien, Tony, I've been watching like Friday the 13th and fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. So I've not been watching like insanely good horror like this. Jason
you know
X
what? Most horror is actually bad. most horror is bad. I'm gonna have to say that.
Usually,
Like,
what
I feel like
happens
there's
is
some few very good ones.
the first film is really good. So like
Yep.
the first Halloween film is like really good.
Yeah, I was
John
surprised
Carpenter
with
as well,
that.
by the way. And like the first Nightmare on Elm Street is really good. The first Friday the 13th, I would say, is really good. And then it just
Okay.
divulges into like chaos after that point. And usually you'll have a third film in the series, which is really weird, where they go in a different direction. And most people hate it, and I seem to love those films. Like I love Dream Warriors. I love Season of the
Yeah, I
Witch.
thought.
Um,
Yeah, I quite like those
I've been
ones as
told
well. Actually.
my friend got very angry that I liked Predator 2. I love Predator 2, but apparently that's
Yeah, but you did say you like it as a bad movie. I think that kind of makes it a different,
I love Predator.
a different set of standards.
Predator 2 is a good film. I think that's a great
Okay.
like it is a very entertaining film. And we can get into
Yeah, yeah,
discussions about art and what art
yeah,
means,
yeah.
but like yeah, I like
Well,
Predator 2.
it's yeah.
So
If you like it, you like it.
but John Carpenter's the thing. This film, like, because watching Halloween, the original Halloween is so like it's tense, but it's so slow paced. There'll just be like shots of a car driving by, or just like, um, you know, just a hall. The thing does this as well, where it's just like shots of a hallway. Or recently, I was watching Twin Peaks, and there's great
Mm.
shots in like horror shots in Twin Peaks, where it's just there's he just films hallways for minutes, and it's just like it just feels so tense that you just hallways
Yeah.
or like
I guess like the
like in
context between
Halloween,
the scenes.
where, like in the original Halloween, you have like these shots of just where is Michael Myers? Could he be here? Could he be
Yeah, yeah,
here?
yeah, yeah.
Could he be here? And
Yeah,
it's
the
just like
anticipation is
it
more
creates like
powerful.
this atmosphere, and
Yeah, yeah.
the thing has that kind of tension, but it's constantly moving. Where I feel like modern audiences
Yeah.
watching the original Halloween, you can feel like, oh man, this might drag on a bit. It's a bit much slower pace. Whereas the thing is just boom, 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 action,
Yeah.
action, action. Like, but still tension, dread. What the fuck is happening?
I feel
bam,
like
bam, bam.
I really felt the paranoia of John Carpenter's stuff thing. Like I just felt,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. Just like every scene kind of just like exuded paranoia, and it's like, yeah, it's just something about that.
But yeah, I think this film's great. Very good acting, and
I love the creature as well. I'm a big fan of just like monstrous creatures. To be honest
there's
with you,
so
though.
many practical creatures in this. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The fact it's practical
the
is so
weird
much
like
better.
dog amalgamations, and
Yes, yes.
there's the fucking there's like the scene where he's giving like the electric, what do you call it? The paddle bats, where you like clear somebody an electric charge their chest,
Um,
and he puts his hands in the chest, and the creature
yeah,
opens his mouth and just bites his fucking arms off, and he's like, ah.
yeah,
There's so many like great moments in this film like that, where it's just like, oh god, that is like some of the scenes I'm like, that's genuinely horrifying to this day, sort of thing. Like that looks
yeah, yeah.
awful.
It's horrifying.
Like I would say, like I think it was Alien Romulus. There is something in that where I'm like, this is genuinely terrifying. What the fuck? Like it reminded me of like old
Okay,
horror, whereas like
that's kind of cool. I
new
need to
horror
watch
stuff
this,
is
though.
just jump scare, jump scare, jump scare, jump scare.
Yeah, or
Whereas
CGI effect monster. You know.
some of these older films, or like Alien Romulus, it's like, oh my god, this is just like genuinely a terrifying
They
creature, and I don't want this on my screen anymore, sort of thing.
one thing I feel like with or more commonly with older CG or older horror films is like they kind of like really think about, oh, what makes this horror terrifying? What can we show to like make you really immersed into that, like to get the experience of
Yeah.
that, like and like make it go as slow or as quick as we need to, depending on the scene. I feel like it was much more thoughtful.
Mm. But yeah, the
It's
thing.
like now it's like, oh, here's the formula. We have to do this, 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 this. It's like, nah, you have to think about it.
But yeah, this is the thing, and the John Carpenter's thing starts with a dog running away and a bunch of Norwegians just
Yeah.
shooting the shit out of it, and of course,
Yeah.
being Americans, they start shooting at the. Oh wait, no, they. I was gonna say because they're coming in a helicopter and then they like crash. One of them like jumps out and then he's trying to shoot the dog and then he accidentally shoots one of the American guys, like the Kurt Russell guys, and they're like, "Oh my god, they're shooting at us!"
Yeah.
So they immediately like murder the Norwegian dudes. And I was watching this with my
God forbid you try and communicate with them.
I was watching this with my Swedish friend, and Kurt Russell is constantly like, "Ah, those Swedish guys," and they're like, "They're Norwegian." He's like, "Ah, they're fucking Swedish, same thing." And he was getting this triggered. I was like, "Yeah." But anyway, that is
pretty realistic.
Yeah, the thing, and Alien, I think, are probably genuinely two of the best horror films I've seen so far in my films I've seen. So
I was when I bought I didn't say it last podcast, but I bought Star Trek Enterprise and like the Alien movies. Just like so I had them on Blu-ray because I've not watched them for ages.
Well, how many of them?
I was like, this is 6, so it's all by Romulus at this point.
Okay, so yeah,
that's a dog shit.
Is that on Blu-ray or just DVD quality?
Yeah, it's on Blu-ray.
Okay, right.
There's 6 discs. But yeah, I was like, because I put in what year each film is, so it's like in brackets, like next to each name of them.
Do you have the
I always forget how old Alien is.
Do you have the assembly cut for Alien 3? And if you do, don't watch it. It just adds so much fucking.
I have 2 versions for Alien 3. They call it the special edition.
Okay, honestly, I wouldn't. I don't like Alien 3. I don't like
What's
it.
crazy?
Alien
After
3.
you said that you thought it was awful, I can't remember what I was doing. I wasn't Google searching like that specifically.
Yeah.
I might have been just just googling Alien. It's like, or I maybe recommended a video on it or something. But like someone was saying, it's like, oh yes, the assembly cut saved Alien 3.
It just drags out your pain of watching that film. The assembly cut.
So the original edition is 109 minutes. The special edition is 138 minutes.
Yeah, you get fucking an extra half an hour of bullshit on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a director's cut where a director went, I'm going to put these scenes in and it's going to help the film come together and make sense. Like, I've seen the Snyder cut for Justice League, and I think it's a better film than the original cut of Justice League.
Well,
but like, the assembly cut is, we cut this out. Oh, fuck it, just throw it back in. I mean, we still have the footage.
It's just the extent. Yeah, we just added everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen the director's cut of Alien, and I have that now, and it's actually shorter than the normal version.
I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember which version I watched.
I don't know.
I just watched Alien.
Can't be that different with 6 minutes though. It's 6 minutes shorter.
But yeah,
I've yet to watch. Alien, so.
Speaking of the Norwegians, I believe there's a Thing film that came out in 2011, and I believe the 2011 Thing film is about what happened to the Norwegian camp before the Thing became the dog and ran over to the American one. I think. I haven't seen it, but
that's why I've heard about it. I've not watched it either. It's the one I haven't seen.
I've heard it's not very good, but I've watched a lot of films that are not very good. So we will see.
Yeah, I feel like it was. I think I heard it was all right, but like a letdown. That's what I heard. But I guess it's kind of maybe makes it boring.
I mean, we got to move on.
Yeah.
I've been watching Kariwa Medica is impervious to my charms. This like literally just finished airing. I think this was from the winter season, but this is like a rom-com. It basically, the idea is there's a woman called Mona, and she is from Osaka. I've been watching this dub. So, Tony, you know, like how in the UK we have accents. In Japan, you have different accents based on pitch, and I think it's called like the Kansai dialect. But like there is like almost like a southern accent in Japan,
right?
And you even have like different words based on the region you're in. And this girl's from Osaka, but because I've been watching the dub version. In the dub version, she's just like, "Hi, my name's Mona, and I'm from Osaka, and everybody loves my southern charms." And I'm like, this is so perfect. I don't know. I love this show. I think it's great. But the plot is
hilarious.
She is this girl who everybody loves because she has this like southern charm to her, because she's gone to Tokyo and she's from Osaka, and everyone absolutely adores her. And then there's a new student who moves in, who's our boy Medica, and he can't stand her. He just will not talk to her, acknowledge her, and he's constantly like burrowing his brow, like, "Oh, like leave me alone." And she thinks he hates her. And so she's constantly trying to get him to look at her and pay her attention, and she's just like making advances at him. What she doesn't know is that he is trained to inherit a monastery, so he's trained to be a monk. so he can't be around women.
Right.
So he's constantly like, clear mind, clear thoughts, clear mind, clear thoughts. He's constantly trying to like avoid temptation, and it makes a really funny rom-com. But it kind of reminds me of
Yeah.
Love is War, where there's two characters who are desperately like trying to avoid admitting the fact they like each other by forcing the other
Yeah.
person to do it, and it's that kind of like romantic conflict, I would say, with
Yeah. Yeah.
Kariwa
That's a way to
Medika.
put it.
Yeah, Tony, this is like I'm getting married to the girl I hate in my class. This isn't a masterpiece, but I fucking love it. I think it's great. It's quite funny. It's quite funny. So I've watched the entire season of that, so I'd recommend that. I've started to watch The Apothecary Diaries. This is, I think it might have literally just finished airing from the ongoing from the winter season. For season 2, I'm watching season 1 at the moment because it just got added to Netflix. So I've been watching that there. But yeah, I've been watching this English dub. I quite like it. I've watched the first 4 episodes. My brother told me to watch this as well. He was recommending it and said it's really good. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And yeah, it's been pretty interesting. Essentially, it's about Momo Mau Mau. I pronounce her name. But she's basically an apothecary's daughter, and she basically does all these tests every day where she's poisoned herself and she's figured out how to cure it. She's almost like a young like Sherlock Holmes, where she's just inquisitive about like how medicine works and like figuring out like how stuff works.
Yeah.
But basically, she knows all this stuff about medicine, and she delivers like medicine to like this brothel. So she interacts with courtesans all the time, and she's out one day and she gets kidnapped by a bunch of kidnappers, and they basically sell her to the Imperial Palace, and she has to become like a maid servant to the Imperial Palace. But in the first episode, she notices that the Emperor's chief concubines are getting really sick, and she's like, well, the face powder that you're using to make your skin white is actually completely toxic. So she starts to like get people's attention, and the show progresses as she like. It's almost like there's a progression, but it's almost like episodic, where each episode so far has been like, oh, there's this issue with this medicine or this poison, and she's using like her past experiences to try and like be like, oh, well, I did this in the past and this has helped me solve this. It's like, it almost reminds me of like, you ever seen the film Slumdog Millionaire? Where he's like, how did you know the answer to this question? He's like, well, this thing happened in my life, and this thing happened in my life, and this thing happened in my life. And it's kind of like that in a weird way. So, yeah.
Okay.
I've been enjoying it so far. I need to watch more of it because I'm only 4 episodes in, but it's been really good so far. My friend said to me, I've never watched anime, and I'm kind of interested to watch it. And my friend said a good starter anime was Solo Leveling. And I said, I've also been recommended Solo Leveling. It's really popular online, and my brother told me to watch Solo Leveling. So I was like, you know what? Why don't we watch part of it together? And I don't love Solo Leveling. I've watched the entire first series. Okay, I kind of explained the plot. So basically, there's this idea of there's our world, the human world, connects to like a demon world where you have like goblins and spiders and monsters and stuff. And there's this thing called the Awakening where you get powers, and based on how much power you get, you basically get a rank. So you get like S ranks, A ranks, B ranks, C, D, E ranks. And the thing is with this series is based on how powerful you are, you never change. So you can't get more power. So if you're an E rank, you will always be an E rank because you'll never get more powerful. So it's more about like buying better equipment or like learning how to deal with situations better with your power level. But the way the show works is basically we have this E rank guy. It's the typical power fantasy of, oh, he's the worst hunter of all mankind, and then he goes to like this dungeon, and it's like full of these horrific blue statues that start murdering everybody, and he's about to like get sacrificed to these statues, and then a pop-up appears and says, do you want to take on a new role as the player? If you don't accept this, your heart will stop in 2 seconds. And basically, what happens is it's very like MMO like, where he essentially becomes he's solo leveling it. He can level up now, so
he's not in a game. This
is real
I don't
life.
understand.
I'm
very confused.
He gets like UI pop-ups, and he can increase his stats.
What?
Yes.
What?
So basically, like, he like starts increasing his strength stat, and he starts getting like ripped in like real life. I'm like, if he increases his intelligence stats, does he just become Einstein? Like, what happens there? But it's so funny, like, he's like at the hospital, and because it's like it basically gives him a daily quest for the One Punch Man workout. So he's like, if you don't do 100 sit-ups and push-ups and squats and run 10 kilometers, you'll go to the punishment zone. And he's like, oh, what the fuck's the punishment zone? I don't care what that is. And he doesn't do them, and it teleports him to this like dune sand place where this giant sandworm chases him around for 4 hours, and he's like, oh shit, I have to do the daily quest. One thing I should mention, I've never seen a Korean anime, and this is a Korean anime, which is interesting.
Okay. It just sounds like an MMO. It sounds like it's just like all in some sort of simulation or something. It doesn't sound.
Well, what really confused me is there's this world where they're connected to like the creature world, and they go into dungeons, and they're like instances, and you can go in and clear them, and if you clear the final boss, it closes the instance. And but at the end of every episode, you know, like you have OPs and EDs on anime where you have like an opening and a closing animation.
Yeah.
On the closing animation, it shows him in like this fucking mental asylum room, and there's like CCTV cameras watching over him, and I'm like, is he in some sort of simulation, or is this just some like throwaway animation they just randomly put onto the? Because it's only ever shown in the ending of the show. It's never like something that most people probably don't even watch is like suggesting there's something weird going on here, which I'm more interested in that stuff. But I've watched the first series, which is 12 episodes, and I've watched the first 4 episodes of season 2, and none of that stuff is in it. And for the most part, my big issue with solo leveling is like, I understand that people really like the battle animations, and I think this show is carried by battle animations, because the animation fighting scenes are kind of cool, but there is like no characters, no character development. It's really boring for the most part.
Are battles cool if you don't care about anyone though?
The first 3 episodes, I almost turned this off. I was like, I'm so fucking bored. And then it starts to get more interesting when he starts to go into more of the MMO stuff and being like, okay, I can level my strength, and I need to go on this quest to change my class, and he becomes like a necromancer, and he can summon stuff, and I'm like, this is more interesting. But I'm like, there is so many shows that do this idea but way better. Like watch One Punch Man, watch Mob Psycho. They have characters and stakes, and they're funny and they're interesting. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm going against the grain here because people seem to fucking love this show, but I'm like, it's so boring for the most part. It's so boring.
It sounds to me just a really confusing premise. I just feel like they should.
I mean, no, like after like 3 episodes, and once you're like, oh, it's just an MMO, you're like, okay, I get it. Like, it's not that. I think.
But do they explain that? Why it's MMO?
I think if you watched it, you would be like, I think me explaining it without any context is probably confusing more. But
I think I've seen scenes of this before, and so I was confused when I was watching the scenes. But I guess I need to actually watch it in order. But I don't know.
It's another one I was saying. I was saying to my friend, like, because he was like, oh yeah, I kind of like this, and I'm like, yeah, but the problem is I've seen like 10 other shows that do this but better. And he's like, well, I don't have any of that context. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, maybe you're like, because to a lot of people, they've played Skyrim, or they've played Oblivion.
They've played Morrowind.
Oh, and they're like, this is the best RPG ever made.
Yeah.
And I've played Fallout New Vegas. You know, there's stuff like Disco Elysium or Baldur's Gate, but they've never played that. So to them, Skyrim is the best RPG ever made.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So have you pointed him to a direction of other better
well, I
series?
said to him,
Or...
if you like this, Chainsaw Man is like the way more interesting version. Because I know people, when people recommend people an anime,
like
they're really scared to like recommend them something that has weird stuff in it, because they're like, well, if they see like weird stuff, they'd be like, oh no, I don't care about this anime stuff. I think maybe this was recommended because it's very simple. For the most part, it's like if you've played an MMO before, you can understand solo leveling, and it's like, oh, it's power fantasy. There's a dude. He's in an MMO. He's getting more powerful. That's the idea of the show.
He's on the grind.
But I said to him, look, if you like this, watch Chainsaw Man, watch Dan, watch Mob Psycho, watch One Punch Man. They all do this, but better. So yeah, but I'll if he wants to watch more solo leveling, I'll watch more solo leveling. I was like, watch partying solo leveling. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like Tony, I literally watched.
How long is it?
I think there's only like 24 episodes. I've seen it's 20 minutes episode. The first season is 12 episodes. Like, it's not that long. I think
it's not long. Okay.
Season 2 just finished airing in March, and that is also 13 episodes, and I've already watched 4 of them. So, and fucking hell, season 2 is ranked 34 on my enemy list. So,
really,
people seem to like season. My issue with season 1 was like, it's super boring at the start. It picks up in the middle, and then the ending is super boring. So maybe something interesting happens in season 2, but I don't know.
So you watch like 3 episodes at a time or something? Like how often?
I think we watched. We watched 9 episodes in the first watch party.
Okay.
And then we watched another, I guess, 7 again for the next one before he was like, I'm gonna go to bed. Because my friend is a trucker, so he's like,
yeah,
I have today off, and then the rest of the week I'm like driving a truck at like 4 a.m. and I'm like, cool, we'll do it today then.
Awful scheduling, man.
I'm just glad he's enjoying it, because I'm like, if you like this, this means there's better stuff out there. And I'm glad that
it's true.
I feel like a lot of my friends like this stuff, and they're way too embarrassed to admit it. And the fact that, like, because I've spoken to my friends, like, the idea of guilty pleasures being really stupid, like the idea of not enjoying things you enjoy. If you like something, just like it.
The concept of a guilty pleasure.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of,
I subscribed. I don't know, not subscribed, but I've had things where it's like, why do I enjoy that? Like, it's not really guilty pleasure at that point. It's just like you're just baffled why you enjoy something. Like, you like write down all the points. Like, why do I enjoy this?
But if you're like,
that's not really a guilty pleasure at that point.
Speaking of Tony, oh my god, we're an hour on. I've been watching. Speaking of shonen anime, I've been watching My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia is a way better show than Solo Leveling. I'm going to come out and say it.
Yeah,
I've watched 150 episodes of it because I was saying, like, I asked him what he'd seen before, and he said Dragon Ball Z, and I was and he was like, it's kind of hard to compare it to Dragon. He was like, it's not as good as Dragon Ball Z, but I was like, yeah, but you probably watched like 200 episodes of Dragon Ball Z or something. Like, the fight between Guy Sensei and fucking Madara in episode 500 of Naruto Shippuden made me cry, because I knew what was happening when Guy Sensei opened the 8th gate, but I had 500 episodes of building to get to that point.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, it's different when you've watched like 12 episodes of a show compared to, like, you know, a bunch. But My Hero Academia has characters.
Yeah.
Something Solo Leveling doesn't have. It has G1, who is like, I'm a Giga Chad now, everyone likes me, and then there's a bunch of random people that show up. But yeah, I've actually got to a point, Tony, where I'm caught up with My Hero Academia. I've watched season 7 is the penultimate season. I thought it was the final season, because it's been building up to this big fight with Shigaraki, who's the big like villain guy. But this actually came out, like, I think at like the end of last year or some point. Yeah, it came out it finished in October, and the season 8 will be the final season, and that is airing in the summer season of anime. So in like a few months' time, we'll be able to see the finale of My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia, I think it's not like a show where I'm like, this is really good, you have to watch it. It's like, this is a really easy show to put on and enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched season 7. You get to see all the arcs of like characters, and one thing I do like about My Hero Academia is it's a show about superpowers, and the superpowers are always like interesting. They don't have like, I am the strong guy and I'm strong, or I'm the fast guy, I'm fast. They do have like,
well, you run out. Only few people can have those, and then you
yeah.
have to think. They have to think about them. Yeah.
There's a character in Midoriya's class called Sugar Rush, and his power is he gets really strong when he consumes sugar. So for his quirk, he's just constantly baking things like all the time, and he carries like little packets of sugar cubes with him to eat, so he can get really strong. And there's like there's negatives to their quirks as well. Like Uraka can touch things, and she can make them have 0 gravity. But if she uses it too much, she starts like physically being sick.
Right. I like the idea of like you have like a positive trait.
Or you have
and a
like
negative trait. I feel like that makes a lot of sense.
Todoroki is he has 2 quirks. He's icy hot, so half of him is ice and half of him is fire, and that's because his dad specifically got into an arranged marriage with a woman with a strong ice quirk, because he was like, I want my son to become the strongest hero possible, so I'm going to like cross pollinate with an ice hero, so I can. The problem I have is that my flames get too hot and I can't control them. So if I have an ice hero that can cool down the flames and then I can shut up my fire again, they will be like the ultimate hero. So they actually think about this stuff, and it makes sense in the world. But yeah, I watched the final season, so I'm caught up, and I've also watched the final film, You're Next, which is set like halfway through season 7 as well. So you get to see like Dark All Might, as he's called. It's like an evil version of All Might, which is interesting. Whenever they introduce like the movie characters, I'm always like, what if this movie character did this to... There's always like a movie that has like a really OP character that is not canon, and I was like, yeah, but if this OP character existed in the world and came and helped them in this fight, wouldn't they just completely win the war at that point? Like, imagine if Labrava was in love with Midoriya. Imagine if Toga was in love with Labrava, and then she became Labrava. None of what I'm saying is making sense. Labrava is a character, if she's in love with you, she makes you insanely strong, is her quirk. But Himiko Toga, if she's in love with you, she can become you and take your power. So what if she was in love with Labrava and also in love with Midoriya? So she became Labrava, increased her quirk, and then she increased one for all. There is like lots of paths you can go down with like weird characters, right? But yeah, so let's move on to... Your Next movie was okay. I think there was some cool fight scenes in this. It's a pretty cool movie. And then we have Tony's spring season anime. So I have been watching some shows that have been coming out. So I've been watching... there's a brand new... so they've done like a spin-off thing that's coming out, so it's called My Hero Vigilantes. So this is a story set before the time of young Midoriya and One for All. But this is coming out now, and it's about like people who... So in My Hero Academia, you have what's called a hero license, and being a hero is like an actual government, like... what's the word? When it's like ordained. It's like it's like a job people have, and it's like ruled by a government body, and they oversee it, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
This is a story...
Has regulations.
Yeah, it's regulated. Thank you. This is a story about a bunch of people who have powers and see injustice, and they're like, the heroes aren't doing anything about this, we have to take it into our own hands. So it's sort of like a smaller story about like some vigilantes with like smaller quirks. Like one of our main characters, he has the ability to like glide on the floor like a hoverboard if 3 of his like appendages of touching like if he has like an arm and a leg and a hand touching the floor, then he can like glide, but he can only glide at about bike speed. He can't really like bicycle speed. He can't go like faster than that. Or we have like our pop idol, who is like she has the ability to bounce. She can like leap and bounce really fast. And basically through circumstances, there's like it's that classic like, I'm a bad guy and I'm gonna fuck with you for no reason. And then they're like, and now we're gonna attack this woman on the street. And he's like, no, you can't do that. And then we have the classic vigilante steps in and stops it. So we've got, and then the general plot is they're trying to figure. There is like in the My Hero Academia world, there's a drug that allows people to like increase their quirk and become like super powerful beasts, basically.
No longer Natty.
Yeah, it's basically basically steroids.
Okay.
But the plot is they're like coming together and be like, this like Knuckles guy is like, I want to track down who is basically selling this drug that is allowing everyone to get really strong quirks and shut it, because it's basically allowing villains to attack innocent people. And it's interesting because we get to see like characters, like we literally see Aizawa, who is one of the teachers from My Hero Academia, but he goes up to the guy and he's like, you're a fucking villain, I'm going to stop you. And it's like, so you have people who are not villains but not heroes. They're like in between, which normally with superhero stuff you have vigilantes. You have like your Batmans who are like outside the law for the most part. But it's interesting to see it in this world. And this is simulcast, so this is coming out weekly dubbed as well. Because I've watched all 7 series of My Hero dubbed, so that's nice to see. We have Aharan-san wa Hakaranai, which this doesn't have an English title, but it roughly translates to Aharan-san is indecipherable. The plot is basically, it is your typical like rom-com. There is a Rido, our main character. He sits at school and he sits next to a girl who's very quiet, and basically she gets up very close to his face and she's like, he can't understand what she's saying. So like the plot of the show is he's basically like trying to develop ways he can have conversations with the girl he sits next to because he wants to be friends with her. And it's just like the rom-com comedy stuff comes out through that, and it's a cool show. I like it. But there's a second season of it, and I've been watching it. And I watched the first episode, and I was like, I'm really enjoying this again. It's a good first episode. But I was like, something feels off. And I was like, wait, I watched the first season of this dubbed, and now they're speaking Japanese. And it's kind of strange when you watch like something in one language, and now you're watching it in a different language. But I don't know. They have announced that this and another show, Generic Romance, is gonna get a dub, but they haven't announced when it's coming out. So I'm like almost 2 minds. Do I just watch this weekly subbed, or do I just wait a couple of weeks and be like and try and watch the dub version? I'm not sure, like, because it feels weird. Like if a show comes out and it doesn't have a dub, I'll just watch the sub. But I watched the first season dubbed, and I know the characters' voices as the dub.
Yeah, you have to rewatch it subbed
in subtitles. Yeah, so that's the interesting thing I'm finding about like watching stuff as it comes out. I have to like pick and choose whether I'm watching stuff like subbed. I don't have a choice. Like if I'm watching stuff from a couple of years back, it just all be dubbed for the most part. But yeah. So I'm not sure on this one. Then we have Can a Boy Girl Friendship Survive? It's a classic. Boy and a girl are lifetime friends. He makes jewelry, which I like animes where the like main protagonist has like a weird hobby that you don't normally see from like people. Like one of my favorite rom-coms is Dress Up Darling, and it's about a guy who makes like, I can't remember what they're called. They're like himiko, like they're like these little dolls, and he just makes clothing for them. And it's like his grandfather's tradition to make them, so he carries on the tradition of making these little clothes. And this girl gets interested in him because she's a cosplayer and she wants him to make cosplaying clothes from her, and that's how their relationship grows. But this guy makes jewelry, and he makes jewelry based on the looks of his childhood friend. And she's always joking like, if we're not together by 30, we'll just get married because we'll have given up by then. And as a 30-year-old man, it makes me very upset that these children are saying that 30 years old is where your life ends. And basically what happens is this other woman, she's like, can you repair this jewelry for me? The black-haired girl, and he's like, yeah, I can do that. And then she's like, you made this jewelry, didn't you? And yeah, she's interested in him because she likes his jewelry. And then I've watched the second episode of this, and it's like they met at a botanical garden at some point, and he was nice to her, and she remembers it, but he didn't. But it's a classic love triangle, Tony. I really like the show. It's given me, yeah. I married the girl in my class who I hate vibes because
right.
It's a good show. And no dub for this. I'm just watching it subbed again. If there's no dub, I'll just watch it subbed. I've never seen it before. It doesn't bother me. So that I think this is probably, other than the second season of Haran-san, this is probably my favorite thing I'm watching at the moment. I think this is the thing I'm looking forward to the most. I started watching Summer Pockets, which apparently is based on a visual novel, and I watched this solely on the fact that Tony, sometimes when I don't have anyone to talk about anime with, and I just talk to people in Twitch chat about anime, and somebody in Twitch chat said, is anyone watching this show? And I was like, well, I wasn't going to, but I guess I could watch the first episode of this. And it was really boring, but maybe it picks up. I've only seen the first episode. I'll come back and I'll talk about these shows again once I've finished like the first season of them. And I'll be like, these are my initial thoughts on the show, and here's where they ended up. I will give this show I'll watch this till like episode 3, and then I'll see because apparently there's some like mystery going on here. But the first episode, it only shows like him walking around and clumsily walking into girls and being like, I am the girl in love interest visual novel character. It feels like a visual novel dialogue. The dialogue feels really strange in this anime. It doesn't feel like your average anime dialogue. It feels very much like this is how two people would interact if they were inside a video game that was designed with the sole fact to get people to interact with each other. Like he just randomly drives past a pool where there's a girl swimming, and he just starts talking to her while she's swimming in the middle of the night. He has no idea who she is. He's never interacted with her before. He just walks up and starts talking to her while she's swimming by herself in the middle of the night in the school pool. He doesn't go to this school. He's just visiting. I'm just like, this is a weird scenario, but okay. Then also, okay, Tony. I'll talk about some other stuff that I have put on my list now that I haven't watched, and then we'll go into the For Perverts section that I've been investigating.
Okay.
You say
investigating?
Yeah, well, I saw them and I said, this looks like a show for perverts. And then I watched them, and then I was like, this is a show for perverts. I was going through the list, and I was like, there's not too much I'm interested in to watch. But I saw this show, Lazarus, and I said, this kind of, like, the title screen the picture looks kind of interesting. And I was like, it kind of reminds me of, like, almost like a Cowboy Bebop. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh wait, this is literally Shinichiro Watanabe, and it's his brand new show that is coming out. And I've been watching everything made by Shinichiro Watanabe, and I haven't watched this yet. There's 2 episodes out of this, and it's being simulcast. It's coming out dubbed every week. I think it's coming out on Adult Swim is the partner they're doing it with. He did I know Watanabe had a relationship with Adult Swim. They got like the American rights to do like Samurai Champloo when that came out on like late night Adult Swim anime, and how that got like really popular in American culture. But yeah, I think the main plot of this is basically it's the future, and there's a scientist who invents a drug that cures like all illnesses, and then like 3 years later he's like, oh yeah, by the way, anyone who's ever taken this drug will die in 3 years. Goodbye. And the only way you can stop it is by coming and finding me. And that's all I saw from the trailer. So that's all I know about this. So I'm going to give this a watch. Right. As a Watanabe head, I have to at least give this a try. And then generic romance. Sounds really generic, but apparently people are saying this is like, give this one a go because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. It's like, have you ever heard of like the Walled City? I think it's in like, is it in Hong Kong? Where there's like those apartment blocks that are, it's somewhere around like China somewhere, right? Where you have like, there's an entire city of building blocks just next to each other. It's super like cramped building blocks, and it started like, I think the British government was like, they started out the city and then they sort of like left it alone, and it just got like completely overtaken by like gangs sort of thing, and they had like their own like small government inside of it. This is a show that is basically in the future when individuals who want the old way of life, like the Walled City, that serve as a refuge for those who long for the Hong Kong of past. But it's about a realtor who has a co-worker, and I think he looks like his like ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, but she has no memory of where she came from, and that's all I know about the show. So there's some weird like mystery romance stuff going on, but I don't really know what's going on. But the reason I haven't watched this yet is because they announced this was getting a dub, but not when. So do I wait for the... Okay. I've never seen this show, but do I wait for the dub because it's been announced? Or do I... If you look at the genres here, Tony, it says romance sci-fi, and that really intrigues me because nothing about this show says sci-fi to me. So there's something weird going on with this one.
Well, they did mean sci-fi. It's in the future. They want to go.
Oh, well, there it is. It's in the future. It's in the future.
Yeah, I've been caught. I don't know. It's obviously not an anime problem, but it's like I've had like watching things with technically. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was on Netflix. It's like, oh, things with sci-fi. And it's like, I wouldn't call this sci-fi personally. Like near future stuff isn't really that sci-fi to me.
But yeah, I think there's 2 episodes out now. I don't know about the dub. I might give it another week, and then at that point, I'll be like, okay, fuck it. There's 3 episodes out. I don't need to wait for the dub. I might just watch this. I'm not sure. And also this Witch Watch one that came out. I was going through the list, and then I saw this, and I said, oh, this actually looks kind of interesting. And it's on Netflix as well, so I can just watch it there. It's basically... There's a guy who is I don't know what the fuck this means. He says he's like an ogre. He's from a family of ogres. I don't know what ogre means. Is ogre like a magical... Like, he doesn't look like an ogre. He just looks like a kid, I think. But then he moves in with a woman who's training to be a witch.
I thought ogres in like Japanese mythology more like half demon sort of thing.
I'll report back once I've seen this. I think this is like... So I think this is going to be like romance mixed with like maybe like comedy, maybe a bit of like... There might be like fight scenes, more like... Shonen just means like for a younger audience, right? I'll give this a watch. It's on Netflix. It's subbed, so there's no dub, but I'll just give this a watch and I'll tell you what I think, and then maybe I'll drop it if I don't like it. But we'll switch to the full pervert section. So I watched the trailer.
Do you want a timestamp for the full pervert section?
For the full pervert section, so people can avoid it if they don't want to hear about it. If you're a child and you're watching, please turn this off. Matt, so I watched the trailer for this and I said, "Holy shit, this looks wild." I have to watch at least the first episode of this. I've watched crazy stuff, Tony, just because I hear the premise for it and I'm like, that's insane. What is that like? Like, I've watched My Life as Inuka-san's Dog, which is a romance story about a boy who gets turned into this girl's dog, and there's a romance story between the girl and the dog. I'm not making... That's the plot of the show, okay. And I was like, I have to see where this goes, because I'm like, that is an insane premise. And I watched it, and it turns out it goes nowhere. It's an awful show.
I'm not surprised. It sounds... I don't know. I just go, that sounds awful. I wouldn't watch it.
But anyway, so this show, Tony, there's this woman, and she's like the perfect girl at school, and she's like, she gets good grades, she's the student council president, but basically this boy is in the locker room, and he's getting something, and then she's getting undressed in there. By the way, this is uncensored, so I've learned recently there's a filter on my anime list for new anime that's coming out, and you can filter out 18 plus ecchi stuff, but it is not filtered out by default, which is the reason I'm seeing this and being very confused when I watch it and being like, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, basically he sees her get undressed, and then she's like, she has the ability to time travel back in time if she takes off her underwear. I'm not making this up. And in order to do it again, she needs to put on more underwear, and then she can take it off again to time travel again. And she's constantly doing this because she's like, oh, I got a 99 on the test. I'm going to travel back in time and get 100%. But oh my god.
So she's Hermione Granger, but taking off underwear.
Well, Tony, this is where it gets wild. So she figures out, she's like, she knows the boy has seen her and he can time travel with her now. But she wants him to be her personal closet. She wants him to carry around underwear for her and put it onto her forehead. There's some weird stuff going on here. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. So then she makes it look like he was sexually assaulting her. He's about to get arrested by the police, and she's blackmailing him to be like, if you don't do this, if you don't become my slave, I am going to basically send you to false imprisonment. And I'm like, this is episode 1 of this show. And I'm like, I have to see where this goes. And it's probably nowhere. It's probably just going to be an excuse to throw in a bunch of shots that make people... It is an excuse for fan service, right? But wouldn't it be interesting if this guy figures out a way to... I think this show could be really interesting if the guy's like, you're basically eternally torturing me. How do I stop you from time traveling? And maybe he could murder her. That would be a really interesting show. If he, I think where this show is going is she's gonna fall in love with him, and he's gonna weirdly fall in love with her, and it's gonna be a generic romance. But they have the potential for a murder mystery. We can turn this into like a crazy show, and it's never gonna go there. I also watched a show called Yandere Dark Elf. She Chased Me All the Way from Another World. I watched that weird reverse isekai one where there's the elf that follows the man from the isekai world to the human world, and it's quite cute. She comes to Japan and she really loves Japanese food, and she likes learning about Japanese culture, and it's like half in the isekai world, half in the real world of Japan. And that show's about an elf called Maribel. And this is a show about a dark elf called Maribel. And this show is nothing like that. She immediately comes to the real world, and she's immediately mega horny and is trying to sleep with this guy. And I was immediately like, no, I'm not doing this. I don't want to watch this. This is porn. I don't want to watch this. Like, I watched
he is just soft porn at the very least.
Yeah, I watched the first episode to be like, what is this? And then I saw it and I was like, yo, I'm out. Fuck that. I don't want to watch that. But yeah.
So have you turned the filter on now?
No, but hear me out. No, hear me out. Okay. Literally, on my anime list, one of my favorite animes of all time is Prison School. And Prison School is the funniest fucking anime I've ever seen. And it's an ecchi. And I wouldn't be able to see Prison School if I turned the filter off.
Can you not just like add a whitelist for one thing?
There's also Domestic Girlfriend, which has ecchi themes in it, but is an interesting show about like relationships. And is an actually good show, but it just happens to have adult themes in it. but it would be listed
Yeah,
under
it's just more an
ecchi.
adult show that instead of it being an
Like I'm not against having scenes in them, but it's like 90% of them are just fan service softcore porn. So it's like
you went more like Game of Thrones and
yeah.
less like I'm trying to think of the example.
Don't get me
I
wrong.
can't think of one.
There's shows I love like Monster Musume, which is essentially just fan service of monster girls. Like there's sometimes I do like that stuff, but it's like here I'm just like nah, I'm not into it.
Not for you.
No.
Yeah.
Let's move on to trailers. There's a new RuneScape game coming out. RuneScape Dragon Wilds. I don't know anything about this other than the fact it's a new open world survival RuneScape game. I think it looks kind of interesting. There seems to be like building and crafting it. So it's coming soon to early access. Is this what
I like the progression, but yeah.
Is this what RuneScape players want? Because I feel like RuneScape players
probably not.
They just want to click things and see bigger numbers go up in like old school RuneScape. Like
but that's old school. I feel like this isn't for them whatsoever. I feel like it's just
you know what game?
Maybe some of them other people will play. Maybe some other people will come over if it's good.
They might like this because some of my friends who played RuneScape, they played a lot of New World, and this is kind of reminding me of New World. And I think that might be a good like comparison between the games.
They did eventually stop because I feel like there was no reason for a lot of things, or it wasn't enough content.
Well, you can grind skills in this game, so there will definitely be grinding in this game.
Yeah. I'll pay attention to it, but I need to know the progression. Like I
don't know anything about RuneScape.
I've been burned before with things looking cool.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And then Tony. Speaking of for perverts, Emma Frost is coming to Marvel Rivals. Invisible Woman searches have gone up 3,000% since Marvel Rivals was released. How much? I had no idea who Emma Frost was before this point, and now all I see on the internet is Emma Frost. So, like, do you know more about this? You sound like you're about to.
Yeah, so so you know in the cartoons Rogue can fly?
Yeah.
That's pretty sure that's like originally like an Emma Frost ability, but I don't know if she's originally had that because I think she has like she's basically like normally like she's like the freezing of the skin person, right?
She can. So I have played her now because I've played season 2 of Marvel Rivals. I didn't write this down on my games list, but I have played season 2.
Right.
She can turn into a diamond, so she has like a diamond form.
So she's in one of the X-Men films, like the the past ones with is it McAvoy?
Yeah, McAvoy.
So she's that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I swear like in the original, like she eventually be able to.
But yeah, I think searches for Emma Frost are going to go up 10,000% from the release of this. I feel like NetEase Gaming knows exactly what they're doing. And as somebody who plays the game and likes visual clarity and was upset with the release of the Invisible Woman based on the fact they've released a white and blue character with blonde hair that I'm constantly getting confused with Cloak and Dagger with. They have now released another white and blue woman with blonde hair. Like from a gameplay perspective, it's kind of annoying. But I don't know. She literally chokeslams people, and she has insane thighs. So this is what the people want. This is what the people want. She's a tank as well, which I think is like interesting. And she's literally like her ult. She's like literally commanding you to come towards her. So yeah, I actually think like from like playing her in practice range and stuff, I'm like, she's kind of like the Thing without being able to. She's a very low range tank. She's sort of like she wants to get into the fight and she needs to stay close to you, and then she can. She's like a brawler. Like she's good at like she has a lot of CC. She has a lot of ways to survive, and she can CC you. But if you range her, she's in a lot of trouble. She like it's like the Thing. Like he wants to run in and clobber, but if you walk away, he can't really do anything. He has to stay close to you.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So does she have like? So it's like a she like has a taunt sort of thing then?
So her ult, when she casts it, um, you get like stunned, or you get. I think
Right.
maybe you get slowed because you can walk out of it. Because I've played against it.
Okay.
But then eventually you have like this bar above you, and then if that fills, you'll start slowly walking towards her for the duration of her channeling it. It has a
Okay.
range, so she has
Right.
to be stood like
Yeah.
kind of close to you, and then she'll be like ah, and then you'll start coming towards her, and then you can like they show in the trailer force people to
Yeah.
like jump off the cliff and stuff like that.
Yeah. 'Cause I think she's
Um,
meant to have it's like she has like some sort of telekinetic powers, I suppose.
hmm.
Or maybe that's more moving stuff. I use the
But we've
telepathic
seen like
powers.
from this patch, with the previous one, they did 2 characters every 2 months, and they've been like, we're kind of not happy with the engagement we're getting from that. So I think now when they're doing like 1 character every month sort of thing, they're like, we want to constantly get people to keep coming back into the game rather than drip feeding characters.
Yeah.
So we want to be like, okay, new month, new season, new
I feel like
character
there's
sort
always
of
gonna
thing.
be ebbs and flows though.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can keep it up, but
Yeah, well, I mean, Fortnite's
yeah.
done it for a long time. They've been like,
True.
I think Fortnite has a patch like every like week or couple of weeks or something. Like they're
Yeah.
constantly updating that game. And if you have the money of Epic Gaming, then yeah, you can do that. But
Yeah,
you
sure.
will burn a lot of people out. But yeah, let's go on to releases. Haste, we talked about Haste. I'll just see what people think quickly. Imagine Sonic Adventure 2 City Escape truck chase scene, but it's a full game. The game is great, but whoa boy, did the level gen need some revamping. There's quite a few levels where you will get into a flow state moving beautifully only to hit a boost circuit that sends you straight into a wall or fight. Yeah, I did notice this, where I was like, I wanted to take a boost circle, but it just sent me flying off the map, and it was kind of bad. Sonic is stellar, and the game feels solid. Be it on a 240 hertz monitor or at Steam Deck at 60 to 90 hertz, it feels responsive and smooth. Yeah. They have one thing I found interesting was I played the demo and I was like, yeah, this is intuitive. It's pretty easy to get and seems pretty fair. They've like nerfed the difficulty several times since this game's been out. Apparently, like most people who play this find this hard. And I was like immediately getting haste and being like, I'm into this, but maybe that's just I'm into movement games, so I'm like my learning curve isn't as big as other people's, but yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
interesting. The Last of Us 2 Remastered has come out, and I have seen the Digital Foundry video on it, and they've said it's an improvement from the first game, but still kind of disappointing. It like
Right.
for the level of visuals you're getting, it should run way better. Like especially on like low
Yeah.
VRAM cards.
It's just like an unoptimized VRAM sort of problem again.
I think it's just unoptimized
Like,
for the most
yeah.
part.
They're pointlessly putting things it shouldn't be.
Yeah, like they were saying, like on a they're running on a system that's way more powerful than a PS4, but it's running around like a PS4 level or PS4 Pro level sort of
Right.
thing. And yeah, that the scaling is just like way off. Like, even though
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
I think they got Nixes to work on this port as well, which is kind of they still have Ion Galaxy, which I
Maybe
think
overworked, maybe.
I don't know because the people were not happy with the Nixes did the new Spider-Man game as well, which people didn't.
Yeah.
Marvel Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Which is a bit poorly running.
People were saying that
Well, not
wasn't
terrible,
running
I
as well as it
suppose,
could.
but yeah.
The story mode is good, but it's very badly optimized. The game keeps on crashing. I don't know if they've patched it now to run a bit better, but that was left in March, so the 31st of March, so that was a couple of weeks ago. And it came out in January, so they should have patched it by that point. South of Midnight came out. I think it's also out on Game Pass because it's an Xbox studio game. I missed the 2005-2015 games where there used to be a linear with a little story trying to be unique in its own way, some magic tricks and a distinct vibe. This game takes me back to this time. I've heard people be like, this is like a AA game. This is like a 30, 40 pound game. It is very much like it's a small little like linear story adventure, and we need more like AA games. I feel like this
Yeah.
is like a Game Pass
Yeah.
game because it's like Game Pass filler almost. It's like it's something we can put on there and people will like it, but it's not requiring as much resources as the next like a mega game, right? It's not like the
one thing I do appreciate
GTA
is that they've actually
6.
scaled the price accordingly.
Yeah, which I think is a good.
I think
like,
that's very important for like a value to cost.
That's how I feel about like Avowed. I'm like, this is a great Game Pass game because it's really easy to get into and fun to play, but it's never like has much depth to it. I don't know.
Yeah, what's it called? Is it Atom 4? Is like the UK?
Atom 4 was like the UK sort of.
Isn't that like £50 or something?
Stalker-esque game.
Yeah. This should be more like a
£45 is how much it cost on Steam.
Okay, that seems reasonable. Maybe it's stupid expensive in dollars or something.
I don't know. You can get it for £35 at Greenman Gaming, apparently.
Yeah. That seems I just feel like more games around this price and like scope and.
On the 10th of April, we had Blueprints came out, which I didn't understand the pun until somebody said it literally means blueprint because it's blueprints. It sounds like blueprint, but
it sounds like blueprints.
Sounds
like an engineering.
Tony, I have heard literally nothing about what this game is, so I'm going completely blind. But I've
never heard of this game.
Tony, this has become the best reviewed game of this year based on its launch. Like everyone who has touched this game has said this is the best game right now.
Really?
And from the basic concept I understand, they've said it's like almost like a roguelike detective puzzle game, and it's saying it like that's. Some people were comparing it to the Outer Wilds, and immediately I was like, I'm looking up nothing and I'm playing this. I'm looking up nothing and I'm playing this. So I've bought Blueprints. I think it costs like £20, and I'm like, I'm just gonna play this weird indie game that's getting good reviews because saying like Detective Outer Wilds, I'm like, oh, I'm going in on this. I'm playing this.
I know a lot of mystery stuff you need to like maybe not completely blind, but it needs to be as blind as possible.
That came out on the 10th of April. Also came out the 10th of April is Promise a Mascot Agency from Kaizen Gameworks. I played this in the Steam Next Fest, and this is one of the games, Tony, I said, when this releases, I'm fucking buying this because this game is so fun. And I have bought it, and I've yet to play it yet because I have so many games that I've been buying and playing recently. So I will be getting down to the Promise Mascot Agency, and I'm excited to pick it up and play it again because listening to weird music while driving around giant toes and tofu mascots in my RV while I'm going cleaning up shrines as an ex-Yakuza was a fucking vibe, and I was really enjoying it. And I would like to be Kiryu again. Tony, huge game came out on the 10th of April as well. We have Trilogy of the Moon, which I've only recently found out existed. This is the second Korean FMV game has hit the Steam store, and I have to check this out. It's not the same people as Five Hearts Under One Roof, but I'm contractually obligated to try out another FMV game featuring Korean women. It just has to be done.
Pretty much the UI looks the same, though.
Tony, you look at the Chinese version of these games, the UI is always the same. They are just.
I don't understand how that happens.
I've got to get in. I've got to investigate it. I'm a detective. I've got to get to the bottom of this mystery. I will find. I will find the bottom of this.
It's 15 age rating. Okay.
That's the good stuff.
BBFC age rating at the bottom, like. The Steam Deck.
We'll see. We went the 5 months under one roof. We had 5 women. It looks like we got 3 women on this game. I have no idea what the story is, but hey. I'm down.
I'm sure. You sure there isn't 2 secret hidden women?
Hopefully, there's a sausage. If there's no sausage man in this game, I'll be disappointed. But if it's just a straightforward romance thing, that's fine. Whatever. Then we have Crashlands 2 came out on the 10th of April. Crashlands is a game I always see, but I never actually know what it is. Apparently, it's like a open world survival crafting like RPG, and people are people were saying, I read a comment where somebody was like, "Oh man, I used to love the first Crashlands as a kid," and I was like, "How old is the original Crashlands?" And I'm like, "It came out in like 2016 or something," and I'm like, people were like kids then, but that's all like is legitimately almost 10
Yeah.
years ago. So like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm just getting old.
Maybe.
But yeah, I thought this game looked kind of interesting. Let's see what people are saying. New design. Okay, I'm extremely excited. I'm waiting for this game for ages and a couple of hours now. The new planet life is really cool. Is there like an overview? I love this game despite the issues I listed. This game is for casual players. The new combat makes the game very playable on all platforms. There is zero grinding, which I dislike, but sure others will be happy about it. What the complaints to do with the game having problems really and just come down to preference. I miss fighting hordes of enemies that get materials to try and get the perfect set of armor weapons. This is a really great game that I'd recommend to anyone. It seems like people like this based on the reviews, so I have to check this one out a bit more. And Lunacid Tears of the Moon. I also knew nothing about this, but then this came out the 12th of April. Apparently, it's a game remade in the Sword of Moonlight tool, which is a tool that was used to make Kingsfield. And if you don't know Kingsfield, Kingsfield is a first-person dungeon crawler that was made by From Software, which is the main inspiration for the Dark Souls series and all the games that follow that. So I was like,
yeah.
but this is a free-to-play game made in that engine. So I was like, maybe I'll give this a go and see what this sort of stuff is all about. And people seem to like it. A lot of people were saying, because the same developer is making a game called, or made a game called Lunacid, which is like a spiritual successor to Kingsfield, but it's made in like a brand new engine, so it like runs really well on modern systems. Where I was reading some reviews for this and people were saying like, wait to play this game because currently there's a bug where it's not running well and these enemies don't spawn, sort of thing. So maybe I'll give a wait on that one. Let's move on to quick news. NVIDIA has open sourced the PhysX and Flow GPU source codes online. So if you're somebody out there who's got one of those new 50 series cards and wants to play like Batman Arkham Asylum and wants to use those smoke effects,
I don't know if you watched the Gamers Nexus video on that. There's like a small detail I didn't realize at all.
I did not. What was that? I saw Digital Foundry.
It's the version. It's like version 3 works really well on CPU, which is why NVIDIA dropped it.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, the things. So I think Mirror's Edge and Arkham Asylum are on like 2.0 of PhysX. A lot of newer games that came after that were on 3.0, which could run on the CPU.
Right. But what they're doing now though is they've because they've had the PhysX SDK 4.0 in 2018 was available as open source, except the GPU simulation kernel source code. But now they've released the GPU simulation version of it.
Maybe patches for this.
So what I'm saying is probably modders will be able to take this and be like, I'm going to make a fan patch for Batman Arkham, and now you can use NVIDIA Smoke Works or whatever, or NVIDIA Hairworks or whatever the fuck, people want to turn on with PhysX. And then I think Borderlands 2 is like a game that is very Mirror's Edge. The original Mirror's Edge, I can't remember if it's Catalyst, but one of the Mirror's Edge game is full of PhysX.
No, it's original. It's original.
Retro emulation, Tony. I talked about there being the Infinity Blade port of a native PC port of Infinity Blade, the mobile game. There is now a reverse engineered Infinity Blade 2. So it's good to see that this Epic Games game that's thought to be lost as a mobile exclusive that is no longer supported is being preserved by the community.
Yeah.
I have installed and played the first one, and it's pretty easy to set up and use. So I think it's the same team, so it should run just as well as the first one did. So that's cool to see. And then we also have oh, okay. Hang on. I had a news here that a new compilation tool was being developed to enable native PC ports of the PS2, because we've seen a Nintendo 64 one that was doing native PC ports. And I talked about the Xbox 360 one that was making the Sonic Unleashed mod. There was a recompilation project for Sonic Unleashed, but apparently PSS Retro Creator clarifies PS2 decompilation project not in active development. I want to clarify the project has been paused for several months. Okay. It started as a personal and experimental exploration into low-level C++ and is not currently under active development. Feel free to explore and use the code freely with no restrictions. So yeah, it seems like there was a story that this was being developed, but it turns out the creator is not actively developing it. Okay. Oh, so apparently this is a rumor going around right now. There is a 4-war bidding war erupting over the StarCraft IP rights between NCSoft, Nexon, Netmarble, and Krafton. But I've heard mixed things. Like, some articles I've read of saying that they're buying the IP rights to StarCraft. Like, Blizzard is trying to sell StarCraft away from them. And then other ones are saying, no. These guys are just vying to buy the rights to make, like, a game in the StarCraft series. You know, like how Games Workshop licenses out the Warhammer IP. Because I was like
an MMO thing, if it's these people.
Nexon and, NCSoft, they make all types of different games. But yeah, I mean, Overwatch originally was called Project Titan and was a StarCraft MMO, so
yeah.
I mean, it's possible. My question is, if they sold the IP of StarCraft to a different company, hypothetically, what happens to Heroes of the Storm? What happens to all the StarCraft cosmetics inside World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Overwatch? Like, StarCraft is such a big part of Blizzard culture and, like, their IPs right now. I feel like they couldn't sell all the rights to the IP. This feels like it's more just they saying that they want somebody else to make a game in the...
I think that's far more likeliness we have. Like, I feel like the bars are like there's a corporation that, like, I don't know if people know this, but like corporations love just like owning all the IP in the world. Why would you sell it when you can just license it out?
But yeah,
I would expect more evidence if that's what like Microsoft / Blizzard were doing.
But yeah, apparently, like, they've been sending executives to Blizzard's California headquarters to pitch their proposals. Like, and I think it's funny, like, StarCraft is still so popular in Korea that the 4 big Korean companies are like, we have to get our hands on the StarCraft stuff so we can make a game, sort of thing, which I think is interesting. Because legit is huge over there, like StarCraft and esports.
It'd be cool if they would do something with it that was not badly monetized, but
yeah.
So,
well, I
want to see something. I want to see something. I would rather see something than nothing, even if it's bad, I guess.
I think about Warhammer stuff. Like, there's Warhammer stuff I don't like, but there's stuff I like like Space Marine. I like Space Marine. We could have more Space Marine stuff,
Yeah.
Let's move on to April Fools, Tony. So we have Palworld More Than Just Pals, second trailer, and people kept saying, haha, it's a funny joke. They made a Palworld fake game where you could romance the pals. And Tony, I hate to tell you, but there's now officially a Steam store page for Palworld More Than Just Pals about romancing your pals. And I'm starting to think that Pocket Pair is serious about making this game where you can romance your pals. And I'm going to tell you now, if they're serious about it, I will be playing it. I'll try it out. You're telling me I can romance Love Handler? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this, but I'm kind of I think it's good that it exists.
Oh, I wrote down Palworld's dating sim as a store page, and I wrote under that, is this a threat? Or a promise? Then we have PUBG put out Winner Winner Chicken Dinner, which is basically also a online. It was basically on their website. It's a dating sim where you can date the guns of PUBG. They've been turned into anime girls. So there was another visual novel thing from PUBG. We got a April Fools from Dave the Diver, where they were going to turn it into a gritty, realistic 3D Dave the Diver game, which I thought was pretty funny. Almost reminds me of like a goat simulator game, like how they do their trailers sometimes, which I think is pretty funny. Fall Guys said that they were going to add a ranked mode to Fall Guys, which I think is hilarious, that you would play ranked Fall Guys. I actually don't know if this is an April Fool's joke. They released it on April 1st, but I actually don't know if they're joking here. There could legitimately be a Fall Guys ranked mode, and I just don't play the game anymore. Valheim put out a patch note with a real in-game update where you could have a new game mode. So you had a new game mode where you could play as the merchant. So you would go around and you would wait for people to come and trade with you. You were just a little dwarf and you sort of just waited around for someone to come and buy something from you. Or they had like the new item, the Pet Rock, which was a brand new buildable item you could put hats on and interact with. And there was also a mode where you were a new weapon, shotgun, extra damage against deer, and new body type deer. When playing as a deer, other deer will be frightened of you. So there was a mode where you could become a deer that would walk around and shoot people with a shotgun, which I was like, this is an actual cool like gameplay thing. Haste got announced on April 1st and released. Dreams of Aether I talked about. And there was... Did you play The Last Meadow from Discord? Discord did a April Fool's game, which is essentially like cookie clicker, but you had to touch grass by growing grass. And
okay, sure.
Basically what would happen is you would like buy more like grass growing seeds to get more grass, but then suddenly like what would happen was like, oh, weeds are growing, and you would start getting negative points. You would have to like constantly be clicking weeds to get rid of them. And then there came a point where like lawnmowers would fly across your screen and you would have to like kill the lawnmower before it destroyed all of your grass. And then you had like friend notifications would come up and then you would have to like click them off, or it would say, do you accept this scam link? And if you hit accept, you would lose points. But if you don't accept the scam link, then you get more points. Like there was funny like jokes like that. But it took about like 9 minutes to complete, but it was a fun little cookie clicker game that they did for April Fools.
That's a good length of time. I feel like 10, 15 minutes.
You complained about it, didn't you? You said you were... Was it you? Because it came up with an advert saying The Last Shadow, or was it somebody else that I'm thinking of?
I had no idea this existed, so...
Okay. But they actually made a pop-up in the bottom of Discord that said The Last Shadow available. You don't update your Discord unless you have to, do you?
No.
Okay, it won't have been you.
I've still not updated it.
But they made a pop-up thing that comes up in the right corner of your Discord when this got released, say, advertise, there's this new game out that you can play on Discord. And my friends was like, I don't like they're putting advertising inside the Discord client. And I was like, it's for an April Fool's joke that they made that's inside the Discord client. I don't really have a problem with personally.
But they have a homepage. I think just leave it there.
But I like how they updated the in-game overlay for Discord outside of April Fools, and they turn it on by default. And I'm like, why the fuck is this on? And I go to turn it off, and they literally say like, no, please don't turn it off. We made it better. Please use the in-game overlay. And I'm like, I don't want to use the in-game overlay. Stop trying to make me use this.
They turned it on by default.
Yeah, because they updated it, and they were like, well, people aren't going to naturally want to turn this on by default. So
yeah, but that's why you have the what's new on the update.
Let's talk about Switch 2.
Stop forcing stuff.
Let's talk about Switch 2.
Well, I was going to quickly mention Minecraft.
Oh, Minecraft.
Their yearly one. They do it every year at this point. You can create your own worlds. It's kind of like a roguelite. You create a world. You have to like... You can like get points in it. You then have like... There's unlocks that then carry over between the worlds. You then come out. you can then use the stuff you gain to unlock more stuff to create new worlds and use it and get experience. I was gonna play it like cooperatively, but I couldn't get the server so low, so I've not actually played it.
Okay, right.
But yeah, they put some effort in. Yeah, you can move on now.
Nintendo Switch 2 announcement, Tony. We have so much to cover. Price is going to cost £395 in the UK, just for the console, the Joy-Cons, and the dock. And
I thought that was reasonable.
yeah, I didn't honestly, because previously the Switch in the UK cost about £300 for the base edition, somewhere around like 290, 300. And then the version with Mario Kart included cost £430. So it's an extra £35. So I pre-ordered the version with Mario Kart included because if you didn't get Mario Kart included, because this was a big pain point for a lot of people, Mario Kart World on its own, if you don't get it in the bundle, will cost £60 digital or £67 physical. Because they're making physical editions of games more expensive than the digital editions. It seems like they're trying to push people to digital to clamp down on the
games.
Yeah, clamp down because they don't make any money in the secondhand market.
As well, to be fair as well, like there is also like a physical stocking cost. Like I feel like digital should always be cheaper than physical.
But this is launching June 5th. Oh, by the way, Tony, they didn't show the price of the Switch in the direct because they knew people were going to be pissed off by the price. So they literally. So what really annoyed me is they had a bunch of stuff they knew was going to piss people off. So they decided not to put that information in the direct so that people wouldn't get pissed off by it. And then it comes out like trickle feed, and people start speculating about the information because they don't have the full information. And it just led to a bunch of misinformation and worse PR for Nintendo. Which I was like, yeah, that wasn't the best idea.
Yeah, I think just put it all out in one space, and then you're like the trusted source.
We have anti-scalping measures from Nintendo as well for the pre-orders. They have done a system now where, in order to pre-order the console from Nintendo themselves, you have to have had a Nintendo Online subscription for 1 year, and you have to have played like 50 hours of gameplay on your Switch, and then you get an invite onto your Switch. So you remember, like with the Steam Deck, they made it so you have to have a Steam account with like a certain amount of
a year old.
Yeah, with a certain amount of purchase on it, which I think is a good anti-scalping measure.
Mine
you can play.
I prefer the Steam one.
Was that I have Nintendo Switch Online, but I have it through the Family Pass, and only the person who purchased the Family Pass is eligible for the invitation as the anti-scalping measure. So even though I used Nintendo Switch Online and I'm not the initial person who purchased it, so I don't have access. This was kind of annoying. But I did manage to get a pre-order through. I got the Mario Kart edition from UK retailers were going earlier. So I got a pre-order with Mario Kart through Argos, which is a big UK retailer. Speaking of the Switch 2 specs, Tony, it has a 120 hertz VRR display. This was the most anti-Nintendo thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, usually they're like, look, it's a handheld console. It's going to run at 720p, 30 FPS, and you're just going to enjoy it, right? But they were actually like, no, we're going to have a dock that supports up to 4K, and you're going to have a 120 hertz performance mode for some of our games. I'm like, that is crazy that they're acknowledging that, having a smoother feeling game can be better than a better looking game in some circumstances, right?
Yeah.
I think off the top of my head confirmed.
Especially the games they make.
I think off the top of my head confirmed we have 120 hertz mode for Mario Kart World, and Metroid Prime is getting 120 FPS mode. So that's going to be cool to see. And it's also, Tony, it is a HDR screen, but it's not OLED. So it is some sort of. We had speculation it might be mini LED, but it seems like it's just a pretty decent LCD screen. It's not the best, but it's not
IPS display.
it's not OLED level, but it is HDR. But what makes me worried about that is
what's the max brightness?
I don't know. We don't know too much about the technical specs. Tony,
You don't know, okay.
The way we learned, so Nintendo did not announce anything about this game using DLSS or ray tracing in it, or like anything NVIDIA broadcast or anything like that. It was the only thing that confirmed it was a NVIDIA blog post said, yeah, we have the technology in the Switch too, and it's going to be using DLSS and ray tracing stuff. So Nintendo themselves just completely ignored that fact, and then NVIDIA was like, yeah, it has DLSS.
Okay.
So it's 120 hertz VR or HDR screen. I'm worried if you have that HDR brightness too high, the blacks are just going to get crushed because it's an LCD panel.
That's
it's because I was like, the Steam Deck's 800p, the original Switch is 720p. They could go for like a 800p to 900p. They're going full 1080p on handheld on the screen, which I think potentially I don't think they even needed to do, but I think some of these more cross-gen titles are really going to benefit from a 1080p handheld mode. So let's talk about misinformation, Tony. I was reading a New York Times. There's the price, because I quickly rushed to the Nintendo website on the UK, and there was a big queue to get in because I wanted to see what the price was and get a screenshot of it for the podcast. There was
that wasn't. Oh yes, the price wasn't on the show yet, so actually just go and look at it.
The Nintendo Direct did not have the price of the unit on it. No, you had to go and look it up separately. This was some of the misinformation was spreading. There was a New York Times article, and they said, "Oh, by the way, this thing has Hall effect joysticks," and people were like, "Yes, they've sold Joy-Con drift," which Hall effect is a lot better.
Less problematic.
It doesn't solve drift on sticks, but it definitely makes it a lot easier by using magnets. According to the New York Times on their preview event, somebody came out, and it was an interview with one of the PR people, and they were saying like, "Oh, are the Joy-Cons in the are the sticks in the Joy-Cons Hall effect?" And Nintendo said, "No, they're not." Which immediately was like, people were like, "Well, what are they going to do about Joy-Con drift?" And he was basically saying, "We're calling them smooth gliding sticks. They're slightly bigger. We know that much. They're bigger controllers. They have bigger bumpers on the actual Joy-Cons for when you're holding it on the side as well." But they just kept talking about how much quieter they were. They kept saying like, reliability, when you're playing Smash
longevity,
and you're using like a GameCube controller, it's really loud. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't make me less worried about the class action lawsuit you had for Joy-Con drift. I don't care how quiet the controller is. I want it not to drift. So, and they also didn't comment on the Pro controller either. So I think neither the Joy-Cons or the Pro controller will have Hall effect. They've pretty much come out.
They haven't followed what iFixit recommended and make it easy to replace them. Sort of similar to
what I've heard. From what I've heard, the Pro controller was a lot better when it came to not drifting compared to the Joy-Cons. So like a lot of people really like the Pro controller. I've pre-ordered a Pro controller too for the Switch 2 because I can't do Joy-Cons anymore. I need like an actual controller, and I like the form factor looks nice. It's a first party controller for Nintendo, so it will work with all their stuff, and it has gyro. It has the extra buttons on the back. So I'm going to use the new Pro controller. It's got USB-C charging, which is different, but it's mostly it has the C button, which we'll talk about later. But it's mostly just
C button.
It's mostly the Pro controller again, but with extra buttons.
Okay.
So the dock for the new Switch will support 4K 60 FPS or 1080p 1440p 120. I think it's mostly going to be 1080p 120 FPS based on the specs. We do have some more. It's going to have Wi-Fi 6. We do know that much.
Okay, that's good.
Dock has a fan built into it, which they showed going off. So that's presumably they'll be overclocking the chip when it's docked, and they have the extra active cooling to make sure it doesn't overheat.
Yeah, I assume it's like I assume it's like a power limit thing, so I can put more power and we can dissipate the heat easier. In my assumption, anyway.
The original Switch, Tony, came with 32 gigabytes of built-in storage. This one, yeah, that was it. This one is going to be coming with 256 gigabytes of UFC internal storage. And from what I understand about because I thought SD cards were pretty slow and bad, but SD cards are actually not that bad when it comes to speed and storage. And I was surprised I'm using micro SD cards on my Steam Deck and how fast they were. They were not as fast as the NVMe, but
No. The problem isn't with their speed, unless you need NVMe speed, which most things don't. It's actually their reliability. They can suddenly just die.
Right. We did have some issues with the original ROG Ally was destroying micro SD cards. There's a defect there.
I think that's an actual defect.
To put that into perspective, so you will be able to expand the storage, but you need to specifically use the new standard that came out about a year ago called micro SD express cards.
Yeah,
which should roughly be about
they are better
SATA SSD level speed. So they should. Yeah, it should feel like an SSD. I think they should.
Those are slightly more reliable as well, but they're not 100% solved the issue.
And you can they're partnering up with Samsung and SanDisk, and you can pre-order them from their website specifically for the Switch. But there'll be third-party ones you can get. I saw there was a terabyte micro SD express card. I'm just gonna rock no storage upgrade and see what happens, and then I'll maybe order some more storage down the line if I need it.
How big are the games going to be?
So,
I suppose is the question.
Based on the Japan eShop, we know that Mario Kart World will be 23 gigabytes. Donkey Kong Bonanza will be 10 gigabytes. The GameCube Classic games will be 3.5 gigabytes. Super Mario Party Jamboree for the Switch 2 will be 7.7 gigabytes. It was 5.3 on the Switch 1, and a Kirby and the Forgotten Land will be 5.7 gigabytes. It was 5.8 on the Switch 1, so it's got 0.1 gigabyte smaller on the Switch 2, which is really confusing me, but I don't know how that happened.
You read the dev doors?
Yeah. Tony, also one of the most un-Nintendo things, they've added a mouse mode feature to the...
Yeah, I did see that, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's like the Lenovo Legion Go has something that's similar to this, where...
But I think, but better, because that was more vertical. This was more downwards, right?
Yeah,
you were using the shoulder button as the clip. With
the Lenovo Legion Go, you had to attach it to an attachment and then put it on a desk, and then it would recognize that as a
slot in, but
it would recognize that as a mouse and keyboard, and you had to remember this game's telling me to press F, and I have to bind that to A on the thing. Whereas this, from the preview events I've seen of, someone was playing the new Metroid game, and you could hold the Joy-Cons and play like a traditional controller. At any point, you could turn it and put it into mouse mode, and it would immediately switch to using mouse mode. And anytime you wanted to stop using mouse mode, you would pick it up again, and it would just be a controller again. So they've made it like this seamless thing. At least for first-party Nintendo games, this will be a seamless thing.
Well, hopefully it's just on kind of device controlled sort of thing. That'd be ideal.
Dragon
the OS sort of thing.
Let's talk about Dragon Drive is Nintendo's way of showing off the new mouse mode features. I don't know if you saw this, but this is essentially like wheelchair basketball, but you control the wheels by imagine like a skiing motion by pulling the wheels back like a you put in the desk, but then you pull one side to turn the wheel one way, like you're actually in a wheelchair sort of thing, and then you can lift your hands up off the desk to throw the ball in. When I saw this, I was like, this feels like their attempt at a Rocket League kind of game. It almost reminds me of not Lethal League, but there's what was that? Knockout City. Do you remember that like dodgeball game that EA had that was
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
fun? It almost reminds
yeah,
me of that.
yeah.
But yeah, there's no price on this game, so I'm wondering how much this is going to cost. Because I could see myself wanting to play this, and like it looks fun. I like Rocket League, all that sort of stuff, and I would be interested to try this. But if they're like, this game is going to cost like 50, 60 pounds, ain't no way in hell I'm buying this.
Yeah.
I will
That's
play
my
this
issue
for
with
like a couple of
big
days, maybe,
publishers.
but like I
They
will
don't
get bored
scale
of
their
this.
pricing for their products well enough.
Because I've heard people saying at the press event, it was like, yeah, it was pretty fun for a bit, and then my arms got really fucking tired of playing this
Yeah.
game.
A cool idea though. I think a two mice game.
So yeah, so there is some games that are already on the Switch that are getting a mouse mode upgrade. I've talked about Metroid Prime, which is going to be the cross-gen title of getting a Switch 1 and a Switch 2 version. And the Switch 2 version will have 4K 60 docked, or 1080p 120 docked, or I believe it's even a I got it written down here. It's like 1080p 60 handheld or 720p 120 handheld. So you can play 120 hertz 720p Metroid on the go, which is kind of fucking nuts. Which makes me very interested in that game. Also, Civ 7 got released on the Switch, and they've announced that mouse mode will be supported for the Switch version of Civ 7. So, might actually be the best way to play Civ 7 on the go, potentially, with the mouse mode.
Well, sure, but the UI is still terrible for it.
Yeah.
But it's really touchscreen is still an option though. Actually,
Yeah.
everything's touchable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pro. I don't think I told you this. Like the other week, I was installing a mod for a game on my Steam Deck. I still have not plugged in a mouse, like a keyboard, into my Steam Deck. I've just been using the key, like the touch controls on the keyboard, or with the touch. Touchscreen.
I think it's you probably don't do as much tinkering as I do. Though. Like when you get into,
I was writing stuff into the command line.
When you really get into the weeds, though, of like compiling like native PC ports of like Jack and Daxter from GitHub and stuff, like.
Sure, but I would do GitHub if I do a simple GitHub project, like syncing through like the touchscreen for sure,
or setting up like syncing between my cloud saves on like the Steam Deck and through
Linux.
Linux.
That's more annoying.
Like it's definitely like I do use the joystick sometimes, but I definitely comes a point in my Steam Deck where I'm like, okay, I need to plug in a keyboard and a mouse.
I just haven't yet, but yeah, I'm not thinking as much. It's like I've managed to not have to plug anything into it yet.
Right, let's talk about Mario Kart World, because this is the big release for Nintendo. Also, interesting.
Is this the game coming out for it?
This is the release title. Mario Kart World. This is coming out on launch. Let's see. One thing I'm getting used to now, Tony, is Nintendo YouTube videos are in 4K, which is like I can actually see what's happening on the on the screen. Like in the past, every Nintendo video was in 1080p, and their rule was if you show something on a Switch trailer, which was good, was that it has to be running on a Switch. So we know that everything we're seeing is running on the Switch 2, which is nice to see. But Tony, I've not been this excited for a racing game in a long time. This looks exactly what I'm looking for in a racing game. It is, it's not only bringing the great kart racing of the best kart racing game outside of Sonic All-Star Racing Transformed. It's going to be 1440p 60 docked. There is confirmed to be a 1080p 120 hertz mode, so you can have 120 hertz in Mario Kart, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
It is a Switch 2 exclusive, and that makes sense if you consider that has open world, like co-op exploration.
That's cool.
So I don't know if you've seen any of this. I'll see if I can...
No.
the way they've set it up is, like on like the Nintendo example would be they did this in Diddy Kong Racing where you could have like open world exploration outside of the races. Do you know like Lego Island 2, you could like explore the island in between
Yeah,
races? Imagine
yeah.
that sort of thing. Or even like Forza
So,
Horizon level,
I
like
would say
just
they're more like Forza Horizon is what I was
yeah, just
thinking
like
of.
so every single Grand Prix, um, the track physically exists in the world, and
Okay,
when
that's
you
cool.
go to the next track, you don't teleport there. You drive along the road to go to the next map, and that's taken into account for the Grand Prix. And if at any point you can just be like, "Oh, I just want to drive around the world and explore," and you
Pretty
can,
cool. I
and
see
you
they
can,
put stuff in there for you to find as well.
yeah, it seems like there's going to be like customizables to unlock and stuff to find. And you can, by the way, you can do all of the exploring in online co-ops. You can invite friends around and you can
Yeah,
just
that's
drive
cool.
around and explore. And then you can also be like, oh, I'm going to queue up for a new game. There's 24 races in this game. And they've added like a brand new battle royale mode where like you have to get, it's like Fall Guys. It's like if you're not in the top 18 races, you'll be eliminated. So you just like
Oh,
keep
okay,
going
okay, that's
into
right.
like that makes sense for having that many
Yeah,
races. It also means that they
yeah,
need
yeah.
24 different characters. So we have like you can now race as the cow from Moo Moo Meadows. You can now race as a
Okay,
dolphin. There is now just like random fucking Mario characters in like Mario Kart now. Like um
that's
we
pretty cool. Yeah.
we have new DK design, which has really grown on me since I've seen Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like I didn't like the redesign at first, but like seeing how expressive he can be now, I actually really like the new DK design that's closer to the film. Um,
Yeah, I know. So, does it look similar to the one in the film? 'Cause I never had a problem with the film look.
yeah, they've changed it from the retro studios sort of
Okay.
design to be more like Donkey Kong Country, to be more like the film sort of thing, which
Right.
I
Okay.
like it now. But yeah, Mario Kart World, I've watched all the tree houses on it and like the gameplay, it looks really fun. It looks really expressive as well. Like
Hmm.
there's rail
Yeah, I like
grinding,
the.
there's new items to like
Sure.
avoid. There's like a feather so you can avoid turtle shells. Um, in like Mario Kart 8, if you get hit by a shell, there's just a static animation that completely stops you from moving. And it's like, oh, okay, I got hit, I'm done. In Mario Kart World,
Yeah.
it's like based on how you get hit, it can like slow you down less, or even like if you get hit in a shell from behind, it can even like push you forward slightly. So there is like Mario Kart is always going to be like a party game, but there is like much more skill
The actual
expression in
skill.
Mario Kart World,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
seems more
Yeah.
um
Appreciate that.
like there's fucking rail, like it almost feels like you can like wall grind and rail grind. Like some of it reminds me of like fucking Tony Hawk. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
this game
I'm
looks
I'm I'm always a
really
big fan
cool.
of rail grinding. So
And I will be playing this on release because I've pre-ordered a Switch with Mario Kart World, and I'm very excited to play it.
yeah.
Let's Tony, you were confused what the C button does. Do you want me to tell you what the so there's
Yes.
mysterious C
Where
button.
is it actually? I wasn't paying attention to like actually where it was physically.
I think it's at the bottom of the controller. It's
It's
where
on the bottom.
it's like
Okay.
where you have like a home button. I'll find my Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
You have like a
So on
home
one side you got home, the other
button,
side's
and
got
then the other side
C.
you got a C button. And on the Pro controller,
Okay.
there's a C button at like the bottom area of it now.
Okay.
And the C, Tony, stands for chat.
Chat.
Nintendo is doing Discord, and it looks kind of bad, but also kind of funny that it even exists. So if you watch the stuff, it feels like they completely ripped off Discord like immediately with this game chat feature. For the longest time, there has been like no native way to talk to people on the Switch. They had like a weird phone app you could use in order to talk to people,
Yeah.
but they've made it so it's fully in the system now. The way it works is you can talk to people on your friends list in real time. You can game stream to people. And they even showed 4 people
Okay.
streaming at the
Okay.
same time. And I 100% believe this was real footage because the gameplay that was running on the streams looked like it was running at about 8 FPS. Like
Okay.
now, there's a microphone in the dock now, and um, it's they show like a blender going off and people talking in the background, and you could still clearly hear the
RTX
voice.
voice.
They're using NVIDIA Broadcast,
Yeah.
and they're even using the optional camera. There's an optional camera you can buy that will be used as a webcam that you can overlay on your gameplay, and it will automatically crop you out without needing a green screen. Which I'm like, that's NVIDIA Broadcast again. So it seems like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
using the full like NVIDIA suite of features.
I think that makes sense, and they're just bringing it to parity with a lot of other like Zoom has a lot of these features as well, right?
I think Digital Foundry did like a FPS count on this. They were like, it was literally running at 8 FPS, like the streams. But like, if you're just like casually playing Mario Kart World and you just want a little stream of your friends and kind of having a rough idea of what they're playing, like, I guess it's fine. I'm never going to use this, so I don't really care.
I would like it to be better, but it's better than nothing.
Let's talk about the camera, by the way. It's underneath the home button, the C button.
Yeah.
The camera. So you can buy an optional camera. I looked at the price, Tony. It's like £50 for this camera.
How much a camera's normal? That doesn't seem too bad to me.
Yeah. So it is like they have because I saw there was a Hori one. So if you know Hori, they're a Japanese accessory maker, and they were doing a piranha plant one. And I was like, why can't I? And that one was cheaper. And I was like, why don't I just get the Hori one? Because they made like the Steam gamepad, right?
Oh yeah.
If you remember that, the officially licensed one. They make a lot of like third-party Nintendo stuff. So I was like, oh, what's the difference? The official Nintendo one is 1080p. The Hori Piranha Plant one is 480p. So there's a big difference in quality there. Not that that's written anywhere when you look into these things.
Of course not.
But basically...
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm at a point now, it's like, if you're going to get a camera, a minimum is 1080p.
Yeah, for sure. Apparently, any USB-C camera will work with game chat. So my Logitech Streamcam is a native USB-C camera. So I could just plug this into the Switch.
Video. Yeah. I guess I would expect as well, because the Switch is going to be big. Sorry, the Switch 2 is going to be big. Like, I assume like even if it doesn't work, there are going to be companies that try and make it work, or like have updated firmware to make it work. So
yeah, it's going to be a lot of like, because like mouse mode, I'm like, that looks like I would love to play. As someone who may or may not have emulated Super Metroid Prime with a mouse on a computer in 4K. And was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, that actually seems like a very good way to play the Metroid Prime games.
It does kind of seem like the hardware developers and like software developers for this are kind of were looking at the illegal modding community.
Well, something I don't think I got written down here is they talk about how they're getting Switch 1 games running on Switch 2. And they basically said... Switch 2 was kind of incompatible on a hardware level to Switch 1. So they're doing like a combination of hardware-based rendering with like heavy GPU emulation. So there's like they are emulating at least. I'm not going to say it's like a one-to-one, like they've got Yuzu on there. But they are doing like
but it's the idea.
They're doing like a combination of like hardware rendering with a GPU emulation. So, which I think is so Nintendo to shut down all emulation stuff, say, give us all of your assets, and then implement emulation into your next console as like a sneaky feature. Hey, look, if it works, it works. I mean, I know for a fact that Switch emulation is great. And for me personally, the reason I'm getting a Switch 2 is because I want to play first-party Nintendo games, and they look like they run and play well on this system, so I don't feel the need to emulate them. So I'm just going to play them on the Switch 2. I think it's just having the ability... Emulation is just having the ability to play your games in the best way possible.
I think it's convenient. I feel like in terms of not showing information like on the direct and stuff like pricing and stuff, but I think in terms of the actual console, like I feel
Oh,
like I'm pretty happy with everything.
yeah. So immediately after talking about the fact that you can have this a video chat built into Nintendo system, they show off like the children protection tools because
Oh yeah,
everyone
yeah,
immediately like is like, how long until you see somebody's penis in game chat? Like this is going to happen
yeah.
immediately. Like if you remember Uno on like the Xbox with the webcam feature, people
No, I
were
do not remember that. What?
immediately getting
The
their
penis?
junk out on that because it had a
Okay.
webcam feature, so it's the internet. I mean,
Right.
it's gonna happen. I mean, some woman like did you ever hear about the portal where I think it's in like Times Square? They have like a live camera feed that goes between Times Square and Dublin, and some woman went and like flashed it or something. Like it's human
Oh yeah,
nature
yeah.
to do that
Yeah.
sort of stuff, I guess. But obviously, you want to protect
It's
children
like
from that
what's
sort
the
of
most
stuff.
extreme thing you can get away with sort of thing is kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. So yeah, Tony, the webcam feature is going to be a core part of the upgrade to Super Mario Party Jamboree. So there's going to be Tony. I'm looking at the like I think the mouse mode games look really fun, and the microphone
Yeah.
stuff looks cool as well. It kind of reminds me of like the DS where you would like, "Hey puppy, come over here." On like
Yeah,
Nintendogs and stuff,
I
or
never
like
dealt with
you would need to
I
like
thought
blow
bad
bubbles and
bollocks.
you'd like just blow air
Yeah,
into
that
your
was
microphone
awful.
and stuff. I
Yeah,
like that
no.
stuff. So
That's a no from me.
but it's just people are looking at this and they're like, it's essentially an eye toy, and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much just like
Yeah.
a eye toy.
I think yeah, it's not for me, but I can appreciate like trying to have more inputs or more ideas for inputs for games and more ways to interact with it. So
Mm. But yeah, I'm probably never gonna use this the fucking webcam stuff, but I will potentially
yeah.
get the upgrade, and I want to try the mouse mode stuff because that seems really interesting. Um, I'm not a big like I've done a lot of the motion controlled game modes on Mario Party Jamboree now, and I think I prefer the non motion control stuff. So I might just get tired of this very quickly. Um, but we'll see. We'll see the winner gets tea. I don't know, Kev. So that's the upgrade coming to Super Mario Party Jamboree. I think this is probably
I was
if I was a
sorry
betting man, I would guess this would
yeah.
cost around £20 max. I think because it's
Really?
new
Okay.
content for the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would see this as more as a
30,
DLC.
30, 30 pounds.
There's no way it's going to cost £30.
You said there's no way.
They've already announced it's like $10 for the upgrade in the US for the Zelda stuff, and I think
Okay, fair.
it's like $20 in yen on the Japanese version they've done. So I think it's going to
Right.
cost like £20 for the upgrade. They have announced that there is up a £10 or $10 upgrade fee for the Legend of Zelda. So the original Breath of the Wild will run at 4K 60 on the Switch 2, and the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom will run at 1440p 60 on the Switch 2, which I think is fine. It looks good.
Yeah.
They have also for these
Is that native though?
yeah. We actually
Okay.
of all the stuff we've seen so far of the Switch 2, it seems like Nintendo isn't using DLSS.
Right, okay.
It seems to be mostly native stuff that they're doing.
Okay.
So
So just optimizing it natively.
yeah, but we've
Stuff.
seen like some Digital Foundry videos in the past where they've like because it's like a I think it's Ampere. It's like the imagine the lowest clocked 3000 series GPU downclocked to like zero juice, and that is what a Switch 2 is.
Yeah, it's like a mobile version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're basically saying like to upscale something with DLSS to 4K, you would need like a 18 millisecond window, and Richard was saying that's just not possible on this class of hardware, right? So like 4K upscaling is out the question. We could potentially see like upscaling to 1440p from 1080p potentially. It Nintendo put out a patent where they were showing off like a lightweight version of DLSS, and that would make a lot of sense because DLSS is very heavy on these mobile chips, whereas like it's more of a free dinner sort of deal on like our big beefy 1,000-watt PCs sort of stuff, you know. Because they have to have this stuff running in handheld mode as well, and handheld mode is massively downclocked compared to the docked version. So that is something to take into account. So they were there's no like real expansion content for these. So these are cheaper than like the Kirby and the Jamboree ones, but they were showing off this. You can use this mobile app with it, and it can have like a GPS. So it would be like, I want to go over here. There's a tower over here that has loot in it, and it'll go turn left. Turn right, and I'm like, who the fuck wants a GPU instructions for fucking Zelda? Like, okay. Then they showed off the ability where you can trade with other people online, which I thought, yeah, okay, that's cool. You can use the app to like, because you have to make like 500 axes or whatever, and you'd be like, oh, I need a strong axe. I'm fighting a boss, and your friend can send you over an axe, which I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough. I think the one feature I thought was cool was with Tears of the Kingdom, you know, people made those crazy penis cannon plane creations. With the Switch 2 version of Tears of the Kingdom, you're going to be able to upload blueprints and download other people's blueprints for the God Hand. So there's auto build sharing, which I think is really cool. So if somebody makes a giant tank, I'm never going to make a giant tank, but I'll download a giant tank. I'm not sure.
You wouldn't download a tank.
I'm thinking about getting... Because when I was ordering the like Mario Party Jamboree and stuff, I was like, should I get Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom? Because I was like, you can already play Breath of the Wild at 4K 6. You can play Breath of the Wild at 4K 120 on fucking Cemu.
Yeah.
Do I need Breath of the Wild on Switch? I do think and I'm not even that interested. Like when it comes to Zelda games, I'm more interested in like the dungeon ones. Like I love Link's Awakening. Like the more like standard go to these set made puzzle dungeons sort of Zelda games.
Aren't there puzzly things like you can do like in the open world?
Yeah, there's like puzzle shrine stuff you can do.
Yeah. Is that a similar idea?
Maybe I'll give these games another go at some point, but maybe I just won't, you know, because they have it. So if you get the upgrades of these, it's £10. But if you have a Nintendo Switch Online, you get the upgrades for free for the Zelda games, as long as you have Switch Online. So it is very much just like
if it's not free.
It's not free, but it is. You know, I think most people who have a Switch will have Switch Online. So. Because you're going to want to play stuff you're going to want to play like Mario Kart Online and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But probably the upgrade I'm the most excited about, Tony, is apparently the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I think I talked about the Switch 2 edition, won't include the DLC. It's been announced. So they're charging all this money for the fucking Switch 2 version of Breath of the Wild, and they're like, by the way, you don't get the DLC. It's like, well, fuck me. Maybe I will play this on Cemu then, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Probably. I wonder what because looking at the technical specs, it's hard to power rank this, but I think based on the technology we've seen, I would say the power of the Switch 2 is probably somewhere around a Steam Deck to slightly more powerful than a Steam Deck.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's more it's definitely more powerful when it's docked.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But I think like the Switch 2's power level, don't be expecting like 4K 60 ray trace next level games. What you're going to be seeing is like 1440p 60 PS4 level games is what you're going to like. The Steam Deck is around a PS4 level. And I would say the Switch 2 is like PS4 to PS4 Pro. That's sort of like where you're looking at for the Switch 2, right? Like, don't be thinking you're going to start seeing like PS5 game. Although Cyberpunk looks good. We'll talk about third-party stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly interested in third-party stuff because like the main appeal of the Switch originally was, oh my god, I could play Cyberpunk on the go. I own a Steam Deck. I can already play
Yeah,
Cyberpunk on the go.
yeah. And it's a much better state where it's more scalable than it used to be as well.
Let's talk about my most anticipated upgrade. I am 100% buying Kirby and the Forgotten Land expansion pass. It's the Star-Crossed World content. I fucking love this game. It was one of my favorite games I played in 2023. I think it is one of those like cutesy like sleeper games where it's like it's the first 3D. It's the first 3D entry in the Kirby series, and it is insanely fun to just suck up vending machines and shoot Coke cans at people. Turn into a car, and it's legit a really
big
fun
fan of Kirby.
3D collection platformer. And we're getting like I think this is going to be like 1440p. I don't know if we have officially, but I'm guessing this would be 1440p 60 based on the footage we're seeing. Because that was one thing about the original Kirby is why I chose to emulate it was the Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It ran at like on the Switch, it was like 30 FPS capped and would go sub 30 FPS. Whereas on my PC, wow, I could be running at 4K 60 constantly.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, like I do want to play the new content, and it looks really fun. Like it looks mostly like remixes of existing levels, but I mean,
yeah,
I think I'm down to just play this game again from the beginning. I fucking love this game. I'll 100% complete it again. Like I'm definitely going to play the new levels, but I might just play the original levels now. I'm just remembering how I had to spam QuickTime events to defeat a flying truck as the finale of Kirby and the Flying World. That wasn't that fun, but fun for the most. Because it seems like you go to the levels, and then some of them are like, here's the original level, and then here's like the star cross level sort of thing. And there's even like, there does seem to be like some specific levels that are just the new content sort of stuff. But yeah, cool to see. Very excited to play this. Then we have Metroid Prime 4. I talked about this already. They showed off a new trailer at the Direct. We also have gameplay from the Treehouse stream. So they did the reveal trailers at the Direct, and then they had a bunch of Treehouse streams. They're like, okay, today we're just going to play Donkey Kong, and then we're going to play Mario Kart, and then we're going to play Metroid. And they were just showing off gameplay of everything. I really like the Treehouse streams. I wish more like companies would do this, where they would be like, hey, here's an announcement of a bunch of games, and then let's, get people hyped. Here's how much they cost. Here's the trailer. And now we're just going to play them. We're just going to be like, okay, here's how the games function. Learn more about them, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Metroid, I just like Metroid Prime Remastered looks so fucking good on the Switch. Like, it's just whatever they're doing over at like fucking Retro Studios, they are just cooking. I don't understand like how they're
optimizing like I assume.
Yeah, they are just absolutely getting these gorgeous games running on this low powered mobile handheld like. But yeah, like as I said before, Tony, I think I might be playing this at 4K 60. I think I'm actually going to choose 4K over 1080p 120. I'm not sure yet. I might try them out. I'm thinking I'm going to be buying this because I played through the entirety of Metroid Prime Remastered, and I liked it, but I preferred the 2D Metroid games.
For Dread.
Yeah, I love the 2D Metroid, like playing Super Metroid on the Game Boy Advance emulator on the Switch. But I think this game looks really cool. I'm especially with mouse mode, like officially supported. Like they have people playing this with a mouse in mind. At 120 hertz, 1080p, or 4K 60. I want to give this another go. I'm thinking about buying this. So far for Switch 2, I've got Super Mario Party Jamboree. I have Kirby DLC. I have Mario Kart with the system. They were doing a special deal at Argos where if you sign up to like their merchandise, their like marketing email, sorry, you could get £10 off an order over £60. So I managed to get a pre-order of Donkey Kong Bonanza for like £55, which makes it like cheaper than the digital version, and I get a Switch 2 cartridge. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, sign me up. So I'm gonna get Donkey Kong, and as we'll talk about Donkey Kong after this, Tony, because Donkey Kong looks so fucking good. Actually, I don't have anything else to say about Metroid. Let's talk about Donkey Kong now. Donkey Kong Bonanza. So when before the Switch 2 announcements, I was like, I hope there's another 3D Mario game because I 100% completed Super Mario Odyssey. It is like one of my favorite 3D platformers of all time. The movement in that game is fucking insane. I love that game. And they showed this off, and people were like, this kind of looks like almost like Banjo Kazooie. It almost looks like, I was like, are they showing off ukulele? Like, what is this? And then it comes out and Donkey Kong breaks the wall. And immediately I start looking at this and I'm like, this has the Odyssey team's fingerprints all over it. Like immediately I'm thinking super like the Odyssey team made this game. Like big open world, open level. Like you have the companion with you. The UI and everything is very Odyssey-like. The way Nintendo does their games, usually when you're like at a state of play from Sony or like a Xbox showcase, they'll be like, and here's this game, and here's we published it, or here's who published it, and here's who developed it. Nintendo goes, here's a game, we're publishing it, and you can find out who made it when you play the game and you watch the credits, and they don't announce anything else about it. Literally, people are like, I have no idea who developed this game until they finish the game and they read the credits. Like, legitimately. Not even joking. So, it wouldn't surprise me if the Odyssey team made this. Because this looks really fucking good. It is an open world digging 3D Mario game, absolutely Donkey Kong game, where you're basically, it kind of reminds me of like Deep Rock Galactic, where you can like dig holes through terrain and you're just trying to like get gold. And the moons of this game are like the bananas. Donkey Kong loves bananas. He's always loved bananas. But there seems to be like, from watching the extended gameplay in the treehouse, there seems to be like a certain amount of like structural integrity. So you can. It's almost like I kind of want to say Donkey Kong Bonanza almost seems like an immersive sim. Like you can solve. It's like you can platform somewhere.
There's more ways to solve.
You can also like dig out things or like dig around obstacles and stuff like that. Like I really like the interactive gameplay, like the skill expression it looks like you have in Donkey Kong Bonanza. But from the gameplay stuff, it looked like you had it's like, because you're trying to get to the bananas at the bottom, but it seems like each level is like a world in Odyssey where you have like structural integrity, so you need to like destroy enough of the world, or like you need to grab enough bananas before you can like get down to the next level, which I guess is like the next world or the next level sort of thing. But yeah, this is not coming. I would have loved to seen this as a launch title because I would have played this day one. But this is coming 1 month after the launch. This is coming out in July.
That's not,
so it's not too bad.
Too bad.
Yeah, so it'll be that, because some people are saying like normally with like I mean video games in general, but Nintendo specifically, they will release a big game for the holiday season. So Mario Kart is, because Mario Kart 8 is one of the best selling video games of all time. That makes sense to be as the launch title for the Switch.
Yeah. I guess as well, like if they stagger it, as like you're almost guaranteed to like have people buy both of them, opposed to like maybe choosing one of them if you had them both as release titles.
Yeah. But yeah, so people are saying like we haven't seen the holiday title yet. So Also, Nintendo themselves have said Mario Kart. Well, the new Mario Kart World, that is a £67 game. Donkey Kong Bonanza, that's like a fucking £60 game. That's a cheaper game. So they're saying, like, because when asked about the pricing of the new Switch 2 games, they were like, well, we're doing a thing called variable pricing, and we're just going to be like, this game has so much more replayability to it, so this one's more expensive and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But essentially what they're like signaling to the customer is this game is more expensive because it's good. This game is less expensive because it sucks. That's kind of what they're saying in a way.
Well, how much content there's to play.
Yeah. But you got to be careful with that sort of message.
It depends how much they scale by as well, because I just find that, technically you've always been able to do that. It's just that it's kind of sucked at it.
But yeah, if this is our 3D, if this is our 3D Mario game replacement, it looks fun. I'm in for it. Like, I'd be very happy with this. I think this game is running at 1080p 60, docked. Which you may be like, well, why is it running at like Mario Kart's 1440p 60? There seems to be a lot of like simulation stuff going on with the dirt. So I can imagine this game would be a lot heavier, like we saw with Starfield. There was a lot of like simulation stuff going on, which meant like, because the Switch 1 specifically, and I think the Switch 2 don't have like the strongest CPU. So simulation stuff is always going to be a lot heavier on games that feature it heavily, right? But I'm sure this is still going to be a really fun game to play, nevertheless. So let's talk about Kirby Air Riders. This is like I think it's like a GameCube game. It's a sequel to a GameCube game, and they only show us cinematic off of it, but they announced that Sakurai was coming back to work specifically on this game because Sakurai was like, he's like one of the original creators of Kirby, but he's mostly been known as like the lead designer of Smash Bros. And he has a YouTube channel, by the way, if you want to learn more about video game development. He made like hundreds of YouTube videos where he's just like, here's how I developed this, here's how I developed this. That is really interesting. But he's basically said, look, I'm coming back to work on this Kirby game, and I don't know how to feel about it because that's cool, I guess, but I have no idea what this game is going to be like, because they showed like a cinematic that's a sequel to a 2003 Kirby racing game I never played. Look, I love Kirby and I love racing games. I'm probably going to play it, but we honestly don't really know that much about it at this point, to be fair.
It's weird that there's another racing game.
Yeah, I mean, Kirby's not as popular as Mario Kart, though. It's definitely not going to be as many people on it.
Well, I wouldn't have bothered. I've done something else with Kirby.
They're already doing the expansion pack to Forgotten Land. I don't know.
Yeah. So there's something else.
So, Tony, they announced... so we got a bunch of third-party announcements, which I'm not too interested in third-party stuff, but there was some really interesting stuff in there. So this comes on, and people are immediately like, is this fucking Bloodborne? Like, this looks like Bloodborne. People in the chat were saying Bloodborne, Castlevania, like, what is going on? This is called The Duskbloods, and it's a brand new From Software game that is a multiplayer PvP From Software game. They seem to be doing more multiplayer stuff now, because they've just announced Elden Ring Night Reign, which is the 3-person like co-op thing, and this is this looks like a mix of, people were saying it looks like a mix of like Bloodborne and Lies of P, which is like inspired by Blood, because it's got like trains and steampunky stuff, which I don't think is part of Bloodborne. It's more like almost like medieval stuff. apparently Miyazaki, the director of From Software, was inspired by Escape from Tarkov. So this has got
What?
like weird, because this has got like mixtures of like PvE and PvP in it. So in like Tarkov, you go in
Right.
and you have like multiplayer interactions with people, and you can shoot. I think they're called scout. There's like NPCs you can fight, but there's also other players, and it's about like not really knowing who to trust and who's your enemy and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a PvP PvE title with multiplayer, online multiplayer at its core. Up to 8 players vie for supremacy among themselves and challenging foes. So it seems like From Software is doing a lot of multiplayer stuff recently. Because they've been kind of branching out. Because they did Elden Ring, which is a brand new IP that did really well. They did Armored Core, which is like a revival of an old mech IP, which
Yeah,
did
yeah.
well, but I don't think captured like all of the main audience there. And now they're doing multiplayer stuff.
No, I think it did very well for like because of the audience size, but it wasn't obviously like as big or anywhere even
But
close to like Elden
they
Ring.
have said, look,
Dark
we're
Souls.
trying out multiplayer stuff because we find it interesting. We're not giving up on single player stuff. We're still going to make more single player,
Okay.
like, Soul stuff.
They just
Please, please, Miyazaki, make Sekiro 2. I don't want to play Dark Souls.
yeah.
I want to play Sekiro 2. There's nothing out there that feels like Sekiro. I just want to play my Secret Rhythm game, where I get to be John Sekiro the Samurai. I don't know, but this is going to be this is going to be a Switch 2 exclusive. So you'll only be able to play this on Switch 2. I don't think it's coming to PC either. I think it's legitimately a Switch 2 exclusive. Will I be playing this on my Switch 2? Probably not. But I will look into it and see what it's coming out next year as well. So
Interesting. Maybe just like take like a creative break, just like doing some smaller projects that
yeah.
I don't know how small this is, but maybe just doing different projects to like sate their
So on the
creativity.
third party stuff, we got Koei Tecmo team up for a new Hyrule Warriors game, Age of Imprisonment. I believe, I don't know about the Zelda Deep Lore, but I think it's going into like the Age of Imprisonment. Like, I think that's like Tears of the Kingdom stuff. I don't know, but that's what I've heard.
I have no idea.
It's Nintendo and
This
Koei Tecmo. What I know about the Hyrule
Yeah.
Warrior Nintendo games, like the Zelda ones, is they usually run pretty bad. So hopefully this one runs well. Like they're usually like 30 caps that sometimes go like the sub 30. But again, they're kind of like Dynasty Warriors, right? Where you just have a billion
Yeah.
enemies on the screen at once. And again, the Switch
Well-
has a pretty poor CPU. So I could understand why this would have performance issues. But it
Normally they put way more effort into this than the Dynasty Warriors.
I'll have to say, like, because it didn't look like it was running crazy well on the stream. It looked okay, but like we'll see. We'll see the winner gets tea. Probably okay. So I watched the live stream of the Direct, Tony. For the past 6 years, people have been asking, where is Hollow Knight Silk Song? When is it coming out? And every single state of play, Xbox Direct, every indie game show, everything, people in the chat are saying, when's Silk Song coming? Tony, in the Nintendo Direct, they're showing a random sizzle reel of, I shit you not, a random sizzle reel of indie games. They're like, oh yeah, Kart Building Simulator is coming to the Switch 2. Play with Your Dog Simulator 2 is coming to the Switch 2. Hollow Knight Silk Song is coming out. Bowling Simulator 6 is coming out. And it was the most nonchalant thing I've ever seen. Like, people are so hyped for this game. And Nintendo at the Direct are like, yeah, Silk Song's coming out this year. Also, see, here's some other random indie games. Like this random indie game.
Wild.
Yeah. There was a lot of wild stuff that happened on the actual stream because, like, Enter the Gungeon 2 was announced at this conference. I didn't see this trailer, Tony, because the fucking live stream crashed in the middle of the direct. There was like this weird
That
survival co-op
sucks.
crafting thing that wasn't very interesting, but I completely missed this game. It's like a 3D version of Enter the Gungeon. It actually looks pretty cool. Feel kind of bad for Devolver because I don't know how much they like
Yeah.
potentially paid or like bargained to get a slot on the Switch 2 Direct, and then they're just like, nobody saw this trailer, and I'm like, that's so sad. But it looks fun. It has a Steam store page as well. We don't know when it's coming out, but I like the first Enter the Gungeon game. I need to play more of it, but yeah, it looks cool. Oh yeah, by the way, Tony, Undertale has been releasing the Deltarune in chapters, and I think the first 2 chapters are out. And
Yeah.
this was more like not as nonchalant as the other one, but we just had like Toby Fox come out and be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna get Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 coming out on the Switch 2 as well." So there was like insanely huge indie game announcements during the Switch 2 as well, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I wrote down. So chapters 3 to 4 will be released on June 5th, which is the official release date of the Switch 2. So it will be a Switch 2 launch title, all 4 chapters of Deltarune. And I believe there's more chapters coming. I think there's supposed to be like 7 or something. I've not played any of Deltarune. I was just going to wait until it was all finished and then play through it. But I have played Undertale, and I love Undertale, especially the music. And I love the music of Deltarune that I've heard so far as well. So that
Oh,
will
okay,
be...
yeah, you've heard that as well, have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rude Buster is a fucking... I went through... Like, I think Rude Buster...
Buster.
Look up Rude Buster from Deltarune. That's one of my
Okay.
favorite video game tracks of all time. It's an
Okay.
absolute banger. So I'll just quickly go through some of the third-party stuff. So for the third-party stuff, they immediately... Like, Elden Ring is coming to the Switch, because it... I have to, like, because I'm like, well, you've always been able to play Elden Ring on a handheld because I have a Steam Deck. And I'm like, wait, no, you haven't, because it's, there's so many, like, games that you couldn't run on the Switch 1 that can now run on the Switch 2. So they had, like, Hades, they had, like, Supergiant Games come on and be like, hey, Hades 2 is coming out. They had the guys from IO Interactive being like, hey, the Hitman World of Assassination is coming to the... to the Switch, and they even teased the James Bond game again, but didn't show anything about it. They said, we're still making that weird James Bond game, but here's zero information about it other than showing the James Bond shot. So I was like, okay. It was really nice because Joseph Fares came on the screen and was like, yo, Split Fiction is coming to the Switch too. And I was like, oh, it's cool. They're like showing off the developers of the game and they get to talk about the game. And then I had to see Randy fucking Pitchford come on my screen and talk about Borderlands 3 coming to the Switch too. And I was like, oh, sorry, Borderlands 4 coming to the fucking Switch. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll have to see fucking Randy Pitchford.
At least not talking about the film this time.
Street Fighter 6 is also coming to the Switch 2. This will be coming with the years 1 and 2 Fighters Edition. So you'll be getting all the DLC fighters, your Mai's, your Terry's, your Eds, your everyone. You will be also I don't collect amiibos, but I did think that the Street Fighter 6 amiibos look kind of cool. I'm not saying I want a Luke amiibo, but I am a Luke main in Street Fighter 6, so
So for Christmas you got one, you wouldn't be disappointed.
Yeah. Also, I was watching the gameplay stream from the Treehouse. Street Fighter 6 on the Switch 2 will have Joy-Con controls. So you can actually play in like motion control mode. And there was even like a specific game mode for it where it showed like how many calories you were burning while you were playing. You had to try and burn the most calories sort of thing, which I thought was gimmicky, but it was interesting. Am I going to get Street Fighter 6 on the Switch 2? Probably not. But I thought that it was nice that fighting game fans could finally play it on the Switch 2, right? Have you ever seen Mortal Kombat on the Switch 1? Like one of the newest
No.
Oh my god. It looks so
Wait,
awful.
which is it? Mortal Kombat 1 or is it the newer one?
I can't remember if they did
Okay.
the newest one on this.
The
They
problem is I don't know how they're doing Mortal Kombat. So they're kind of in a weird
yeah,
place of like
they did Mortal
what
Kombat
reboot they're
1
doing.
on the Switch,
Okay.
and it is a sight to behold.
Is it just like reload graphics? That's
Oh,
it.
hang on. I'll pull up the image so I'm sending you. That's the sort
Okay.
of fidelity
That's
we're talking
Melina.
about on the.
That is is that PS1 cinematic graphics? Oh man.
But yeah,
That is
like
pretty bad.
fighting game fans have been hurting for a while on the like you can
Yeah.
play Smash Bros. Smash Bros is great, but like
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
like Street Fighter on the Switch, that's good. Like is Tekken on the Switch? Because I don't think it is. Yeah, there's not a single Tekken game on the Switch. So it would be a good idea to put Tekken 8 on the fucking Switch. Why not? Also, well, speaking of Tekken 8 recently, they just did a 2.0 patch for Tekken, and I haven't played Tekken 8 yet, but apparently it's been called the worst patch in fighting game history, and people fucking hate it. So
What did they do?
I don't know what the hell's going on with Tekken 8, but the patch they did, people fucking hate it. Apparently, they buffed
Interesting.
all the characters, and people did not like that. I can't talk. I've never played Tekken. I don't know. I can't go
No,
into
no,
why
play
people don't
Tekken.
like it, but yeah.
I watched the Tekken movie once.
Then Tony, we also have so Cyberpunk and the Phantom Liberty DLC will be coming to the Switch too, and CG Projekt Red specifically is making a 64 gigabyte Switch 2 cartridge so they can include the entire game on the cartridge without a download, which is really cool to see.
Okay.
And I think it's been announced that there will be a 30 FPS quality mode and a 40 FPS performance mode for
Oh no.
Cyberpunk 2077 on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
Yakuza.
feel like
Oh, go on.
Cyberpunk's come a long way, so I can like kind of support these things now. I feel like Law and Cyberpunk, no chance.
Yakuza 0 is coming to the Switch 2 with a brand new director's cut version of Yakuza 0. I don't know if we've got this confirmed that it will be coming to PC as well, but the director's cut version will have new cutscenes, will feature an English dub for the first time, and the Red Light Raid online multiplayer mode has been added, and it will be coming out on the Switch 2's launch. So it's like an enhanced version of Yakuza 0, which is cool to see. Then also we had an announcement that finally, as part of your Nintendo Switch Online subscription, you'll have access to the GameCube is finally coming to Switch Online exclusively for Switch 2. They showed off Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, which features Link as a playable character, and F-Zero GX, which is a racing game from F-Zero. But the cool thing is, Tony, F-Zero GX never had multiplayer support on the GameCube, but the emulated version on the Switch 2 will have a online multiplayer.
Okay.
So that's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah.
They also showed off images of Super Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness, Super Mario Strikers, Chibi Robot, Luigi's Mansion, and Pokemon Colosseum. People were pointing out, like, if you legitimately wanted to purchase any of those games physically right now, they are ridiculously expensive. They're like 200, 300 pounds to like fucking buy the physical GameCube version of these games. So like from a preservation point, it's nice that there does exist a version of them to play on the Switch too. I wish they didn't try and shut down all of the preservation efforts that people put up, but
Yeah.
you win some, you lose some. So they are shown in like a 4:3 aspect ratio, like most of the GameCube games had. But if the game featured a widescreen mode, as widescreen was becoming more popular when the GameCube came out, you can turn on a widescreen mode in the options. They're not doing any like widescreen patches like some emulators do, but Oh, they're also selling a new wireless GameCube controller to go with it. So if you're a Nintendo Switch online member and you want to purchase a brand new USB-C wireless GameCube controller to use, you can buy one. That's cool to see. And they've also, because like people were saying they've got like the original GameCube Wind Waker on the Switch Online now. We're never getting Wind Waker HD on the Switch. Nintendo have said Wind Waker GameCube on Switch 2 doesn't mean Wind Waker H2 won't get ported, Nintendo said. So I think people really want to get the Wind Waker HD on the Switch. Like a 4K 60 version of Wind Waker HD would be like, because like even emulation of like on like Cemu, Wind Waker HD is locked to 30. So like a 60 FPS version would be really nice. I would potentially pick that up.
Is that just a performance issue why it's locked to 30? Or is it
just game logic
weird?
Is locked to 30. You'd have to like reprogram a lot of stuff. Yeah. They showed off Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, Tony, which is the most pack-in game I've ever seen, and they're trying to charge $10 for it.
Sorry, what?
It's a game that you walk around like a museum, and it tells you things about how your Switch 2 works, and it's not included with the Switch 2, and they want you to buy it.
What?
Yep, I'm not making
that
this
should
up.
just be included. What the hell?
It does have like.
It's a cool idea. I like the idea.
It has like little mini games where you can like. It shows off the new Rumble feature of the mouse. You can use. It'll have games where you could use the new mouse mode to dodge like objects as a flying saucer. There is stuff where like it'll show you like a 4K screen and then be like, this is what Mario looked like on the original NES and how small it is and how much the screen it took up, and like. Because I watched some of the gameplay, and then like as you slowly move across, it like shows you how much it like you can fit an entire Mario level on a 4K screen from like the original version and stuff like that. That stuff's cool. I don't think it should cost potentially £10. I don't know how we don't know
advertising the console.
It's Tony. People have said it's like charging for the manual.
Yeah,
like your system or your game, right? Like the golf stuff looks fun.
They put graphics into that, so yeah.
This has come into like a lot of discussion recently, and Reggie's even come into discussion. Reggie Phyllis Anime, where the Wii Sports was a pack-in title with the Wii, and it was part of its massive success was that Wii Sports made it like a huge viral hit where everyone had to get a Wii. And apparently. It's been talked about before by Reggie, but he was reiterating Wii Sports was only a pack-in America and Europe because Reggie himself, the ex-president of Nintendo of America, fought super hard to have Wii Sports be a pack-in title. The Japanese Nintendo guys, they don't believe in giving away stuff for free. They're like, look, to be fair, they say, look, people worked on this. They worked hard on it. We want to charge money for their work. Which I think is a potential point, but like it feels like an advertisement game manual for the game. I feel like this should be
you're selling units, like surely like more money is
because people immediately have been like they're charging £10 for this, but you get Astro's Playroom as a free pack-in for the PS5, and Astro's Playroom is insane. It's a really cool game. So like. Will I buy this, Tony? Maybe. I'm actually thinking if it costs like £5, I might buy it. £10, I'm not sure. Yeah. But like the thing is,
pounds,
when I get my Switch, the Switch 2 games I can play at launch are Mario Kart World.
Yeah.
So like I might buy this and play it, but we'll see. Because like the upgrades for Kirby and Jamboree are coming like later. So
right. But I was gonna say, like, I guess, like for like the Wii, it's like they weren't guaranteed to sell, whereas I feel like they think that the Switch 2 is guaranteed to sell like hotcakes. So they have no need to do that. To include a Wii Sports.
But we have an official compatibility list for Switch 1 games, and they've said stuff that has like there's like an actual like PDF file you can go down and be like, is this game on my Switch 1 supported on the Switch 2? Which is cool. And they've split them up to categories. So there are games that are not compatible. So like the Nintendo VR kit is not compatible with the Switch 2.
Oh, sure.
Obviously. And then they've said, or like the Joy-Cons for the the Joy-Cons on the Switch 2 are bigger than the Joy-Cons on the Switch 1. They're not compatible with Ring Fit Adventure because Ring Fit Adventure has a band that has space for specifically for Joy.
We can 3D print
controllers.
something probably.
But they're like, so they're saying, you know what this reminds me of? Like this list, they're saying like only a small percentage of Nintendo games are not compatible, but like almost all of the Nintendo games are working, whereas third party has gamers playable with issues more so, and then there's issues were found during startup, but there's no like non-compatible games. One of the ones that I found interesting was, I think on the list of like has issues that are being investigated, like Another Crab's Treasure. I think Doom Eternal was like, yeah, Doom Eternal was struggling to get it running on the Switch too. Like there is like Final Fantasy Gang Beasts, like that there is a bunch of Pizza Tower, like there is a bunch of like random third-party games that are just not compatible with the Switch 2 yet. So if you have a big third-party library for the Switch 2, you might want to hold off if you're just like specifically getting it to upgrade Switch 1 games. But yeah, it's weird. It must be this compatibility list of games that do and don't work on the system. It almost reminds me of an emulator website where saying which games do and don't run well on the emulator. That is just interesting.
You think they're looking at a competition again?
The Japanese version of the Switch 2 has two versions. So I don't know if you know this, Tony, but currently the yen is not doing great, like in terms of value globally. And it's to a point where if you traveled to Japan with American dollars or even pounds, like Great British pounds, your buying power is much higher.
Right.
So in order to combat people, because people were already buying games from Japan and importing Switch 1 games from Japan and importing them over because they were a lot cheaper than buying Switch games in like America and Europe. And the Switch 1 games are not region locked. Like they've got rid of region locking for the most part.
Right.
So you could play them on whatever language you wanted, and it was just cheaper that way. In order to make a console that's affordable for the Japanese market without having people just buy the Japanese Switch 2 and then import it to the US or the UK where it would be cheaper. There's two versions in Japan. There is the much cheaper version of the Switch 2, which is 50,000 yen, which is £259 in Great British pounds. So that would be almost half as much as the UK version that we have, meaning it would be a lot cheaper to import. But it's only has the Japanese language on it. You cannot use any other language on it.
That's how they get you.
Yeah. And they are selling a worldwide edition in Japan for an extra 20,000 yen, which puts it up more to like the price of the international versions.
It's crazy that how.
So if you're somebody
Tony,
if you're somebody who lives in Japan and doesn't speak Japanese, I mean, you're already in a lot of trouble, but you're in a lot more trouble if you want to play a Switch 2.
It's more incentive to just learn Japanese. I don't see the problem.
Well, there it is. But yeah, Switch sells like a lot of fucking units in Japan, so they had to keep the price down domestically.
Oh yeah.
But they had to get around like international scalpers coming in and just buying all the Japanese units. Speaking of international troubles, have you heard about that tariff thing that was going on?
Oh yes.
Nintendo's store
some issues.
Still due to tariffs, May 8th is the new date which people can pre-order in the US. So the UK has been available to pre-order. The third-party retailers open up like on the 3rd, like of April, like straight after the direct. The official
Yeah.
Nintendo store opened on like the 8th or the 9th. It was supposed to open up on the 9th in the US, and then because of tariffs, it's now been delayed by an entire month to May now for the US. They said they're going to investigate the costs of tariffs. I do also want to point out the US prices for the Switch are pre-tax because people like not knowing how much stuff costs in the US because they don't include taxes
That
in their
always,
prices.
yeah, I always forget that. Yeah, it's full time.
But anyway, Tony, because Canada and America shipments for Nintendo are tied together, this also affects Canadians as well. So Canadians are not allowed to pre-order a Switch and may have to buy a more expensive Switch 2 because of American tariffs. And it's just like,
what European one imported it?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. They're at least getting delayed in Canada. They might be able to change them around for the tariffs.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a man who's putting tariffs on uninhabited islands. There is someone going crazy at the helm of America right now. So
I was gonna say as well, is like I assume some of the problem as well is that they're gonna try and deal with the pricing of the tariffs. Probably because like I know of products that have been tariffed twice. Like one for like the product itself and one for like the internal components.
So what I've
which
heard
seems crazy to me
is like Nintendo saw the waters and were like, we're going to move all of our production to mostly China, and we're going to move over to Cambodia and Vietnam because they were like, okay, China's going to get massive tariffs, and then Cambodia and Vietnam have got pretty harsh tariffs as well. They're up like 40%.
Yeah.
So like
crazy.
I have seen news that apparently there's like a 90-day hiatus on the tariff now, and Nintendo is trying to ship as many Nintendo Switch 2s from China to America before the new tariffs go into effect, like stockpiling Switch 2s while they can. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Switch 2 continues.
It's just a mess though.
Switch 2 continues the 20-year tradition of not having any achievements on the system. I've personally never really cared that much about achievements. Like, I don't mind when I get a Steam achievement. Sometimes I do go for rare Steam achievements on like Dishonored and stuff, but for the most part,
I feel like
it's
really kind of satisfying. Oh, you've reached this point. Here's just like something to show. But it's not essential.
That was one of the things for the updated Zelda games was on the mobile app you could have achievements for that one game with the digital upgrade, but maybe they're testing the waters there. But there's not going to be any achievements for the foreseeable future on the console itself.
Okay.
So, speaking of like outrage and misinformation with the Switch 2, there was an announcement there was these things going to be called game key carts coming out, which would essentially be like a physical box you could buy in a retail store, and it would have a digital download code, and then you could input that into your Switch, and it would allow you to download the game from the internet. And people are like, this is replacing games physically being on the cartridges. It seems like, no, this is more for like smaller third-party indie titles that need more retail presence but can't afford to print cartridges. And Nintendo and people were worried that this game cart would tie it to your Nintendo account, and Nintendo have come out and said, no, you will be able to there is no license that's tied to your account. It's tied to the game cart. So if you took this game cart and you sold it to somebody else, they would then own that game.
Oh, so you'd have to. So you'd have to plug it in while it's plugged in. You could download it, and while it's plugged in, it like authenticates. You can still play the downloaded version.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically just a key. It's basically just like a playable
key
sort of thing. That's pretty good actually.
Because there's plenty of like smaller indie titles that can't afford to print cartridges, but need that presence at brick and mortar retail stores. So I don't think game key carts are a bad thing, and I think with this confirmation that they seem alright.
If it was locking to the console, I feel like that would make it absolutely terrible. But yeah, the way it's working, that seems very reasonable.
We have seen like Cyberpunk is getting a special 64 GB cartridge to make sure it fits on the car. I know Street Fighter 6 and its DL Pass is too big, so it will require at least some sort of
Right.
download if you buy the physical
Yeah.
edition of Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
The most important news, Tony, is Switch 2 carts still taste bad if you try and eat them. So if you want to lick some Switch 2 carts, they still will taste
Well,
awful.
What does it taste like, though? Like, how have they confirmed this?
Hang on. I've never tried a Switch cart, I'll be honest with you. Let me find one.
You never just want to put it in your... You haven't looked at someone and go, "Oh, that might be tasty," and put it in your mouth.
It won't destroy the cart, right, if I give it a quick look. What's the game I'm the least worried about destroying? How about Lego Jurassic World? Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
Lego Jurassic World. Oh, that is all. Oh, You ever licked a sticker? I guess it's kind of like that. It's sort of like it's almost like chemically, and it's like chemically, and you know you shouldn't be eating it.
Yeah, okay.
Ugh.
It's like a rock or something.
A rock.
Yeah, I guess like more chemical stuff is more. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like there's some rocks you're like, I definitely can't eat that.
They've been advised not to lick them.
So like I guess if it's not comparable, you just know it's disgusting. It's probably the best course of action.
So it's sort of like 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 deodorant or aerosol, or just like soap, or
oh sure.
It doesn't. It's like it's just it. You're gonna have to lick a Switch cartridge. It's hard to describe.
I'm not gonna lick a Switch cartridge.
I'm gonna have to lick a Switch 2 cartridge and compare taste. Nintendo confirms no download codes needed for physical Switch 2 edition games. There was some information out there said that Switch 2 versions of games would be just the Switch 1 cartridge with a download code included, but apparently Nintendo's confirmed no, they will have the full Switch 2 game on the cartridge without a need for a download.
Where does this information come from? Like, surely people must have thought this was real. Like,
it was based on like a Twitter post of somebody who data mined something, or it was like one source, and people are like, "This is gospel truth." I believe this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about indie games quickly, Tony, and then we can end. We've got the Triple I Initiative, which is the now yearly tradition of just being like, we're too big to go to the small indie shows, but we're too small to be at the AAA shows, so let's have our own like indie stuff. And it's just like 45 minutes to an hour of just indie stuff. It's like double A. It's triple I. It is like we've seen like
premium indie stuff.
Yeah, it's from the it's from like the ex Dead Cells guys who do it. They set up the event, so that's cool to see. So the first game we had was.
I was just going to say that it's kind of cool to see like indie, I guess, developers, publishers now, or it's like they're successful and they want to kind of help things out.
You see this a lot where like if you follow like Local Thunk on social media, he'll basically be like, "Hey, I made Balatro. A lot of people follow me, but I just checked out this indie game, and it's really." He just literally a few days ago was like, "Oh, Nubby's Number Factory is really fucking cool and fun. People should play Nubby's Number Factory."
Okay.
So I was like, "Yeah,
this is just cool. Like, you don't have to be competitors like after you've made it, sort of thing. Not like you're competitors per se.
It depends how you think. Like you could believe that, rising tide lifts all ships. So like an indie game does well, it's good for everyone. Deep Rock Galactic Rogue Core got gameplay shown off. It's essentially like a roguelite version of Deep Rock Galactic where you go into like a mission, you have like a base class and you get like upgrades as you go along and you do more missions, and then you just keep going as far as you can, getting stronger, and then if you die, you have to start again, sort of thing. It looks pretty cool. It's kind of like blending
Interesting.
Deep Rock Galactic with the Deep Rock Galactic Survivor game they did with like the Vampire Survivor stuff. There's even a store page as well, if you want to check that out. Moonlighter 2 got announced, which was like, it's like half dungeon crawling, half like merchant shop simulation. You essentially go into a dungeon, fight monsters, and like steal rare loot, and then you have to try and sell it at like a shop. It's like a weird mixed gameplay, but there's a second game version of it that is more like 3D. I think the first one's like a 2D game, but this looks pretty fun. It's also got a store page if you want to check that out. It's coming out sometime this year. We got gameplay of Starbirds, Tony. Do you remember this one? This was the collab between Kurzgesagt and the creators of Dorf Romantic. But it looks pretty interesting. I've watched the gameplay for this, and I'm still not 100% sure what the game's about. It almost looks like a mini factory game.
I was going to say, it reminds me of Astroneer, which is like a light factory pretty game.
Well, it's almost like you got these like little planets, and then you're building, like Dyson Sphere.
Well, they're on asteroids, right?
It's like
Dyson Sphere was it Simulator or something?
Yeah, or like you're building like a little Factorio Satisfactory factory on like the thing, right?
See, like I say, you're building lots of like smaller factories that then link together, to, like feed into each other, sort of thing. Is what I assume is happening. Yeah, it looks interesting for sure. I know, like Kirk's style is very cool.
Speedrunners 2 got announced, and Speedrunners was one of my favorite speedrunning indie games. It was a really fun like multiplayer party game that was all about trying to go as fast as possible while slowing your opponents down.
Oh, this one, yeah.
And my first comment is like, this seems like the first game again, but with a weirder art style. Actually, I'm not 100% sold on the art style of the Speedrunners 2. I actually think like the 2D art style of the first game in some ways looked better than this art style, and it's like from the stuff they're firing off and stuff, this seems like kind of the same as Speedrunners.
There's
1,
this feature that's completely different.
Yeah, I mean, a fresh coat of paint might be enough to get people to try it. I might give it a go, but I kind of want to see more about this and be like, what is the killer feature of this, right? Because I love this game. But I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to convince like 3 other people to purchase this and then play it with me.
Yeah,
that's the problem. We got gameplay for Rematch, which is the Sifu created football game. I think this game still looks really fun. I think like
I'll trust you because it may just looks like football.
It's like football, but like skill expression, like movement skill expression to it. Like,
isn't that what football is?
Yeah, but have you ever played a FIFA game or a PES game?
No, I don't care about football.
That's not what those games are about.
Right, I have no idea. I've watched people play it. I have no idea. It's more. You're saying it's more like you're like physically controlling the character instead of like more multiple characters at once and passing to characters.
That game's coming out this year in 19th of June. Vampire Survivors came out and we're like, yo, we're giving away a free DLC with the Sega franchise, Saga, I should say, Saga, not Sega, the Sonic guys. But that's like a classic series, and they're like, yeah, we're just gonna make a entire free DLC for Vampire Survivors. Is Vampire Survivors the best deal in gaming? Like, it's like a £3 game, and it just has like infinite replayability. It's an awesome game. People were saying like the Castlevania DLC for that game was like an entirely new game inside of it.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't think I've got like the Among Us DLC, but I don't think I have the Castlevania one. Vampire Survivor. Let me check. Yeah, I don't have the Castlevania one yet, but people are saying that one's really good, and it's like £3. So. Dusk Fade got announced at the Triple I Initiative. This looks cool. It is looking like a little 3D platformer, collectathon sort of thing. I don't know if it's specific collectathon, but there's definitely 3D platforming, and you know me, I love my 3D platformers, so I'm always willing to at least give them another look. I like the heavy CGI art style.
Yeah, that's interesting. It kind of reminds me of like a Kingdom Hearts with the way the emphasis
rail
on big
grinding as
swords.
well. Always good to see some rail grinding.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a huge fan of rail grinding ever since I tried it in Ratchet and Clank.
But we'll have to wait and see. Like when it comes to indie
Wait,
platformers,
they even had the grapple hook from Ratchet and Clank.
the Dynamo.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to indie platformers, I can see they're kind of hit and miss. So sometimes they can look really good, but then you play them and you're like, eh. So we'll have to wait and see. So
I think either way, it's good that they're trying though. Like I feel like we do need more.
We've seen some more of gameplay of the eternal life of Goldman, and I think the art on this game just looks so gorgeous. I just love the fucking the sprites they've used on this.
Well, they're kind of like desaturated, like I don't know how to describe it. Like, they kind of like got this almost vibrant thing that then almost like desaturated and made it brighter. I don't know how to describe that.
Well, I saw like the initial reveal of this, and I said, maybe that is maybe it looks really good, but maybe it doesn't play good, because sometimes that can be the case.
Yeah.
But from the gameplay, it looks like it controls pretty well, but we'll have to wait and see.
The enemies seem interesting.
But yeah, I like the look of this game. Then also Clover Pit. I talked about this when I played the demo. It's another gambling roguelite.
Yeah.
And then the big like one more thing, Tony, was like Katana Zero is like a big indie game, but they announced that the free DLC was still on its way. Apparently they announced that they would be doing a free DLC for this game, and they made a trailer at the Triple I Initiative to say, we're still making that DLC and it is coming. So hold on, here's a trailer for the free DLC, which I've never seen something like this before, but that's an interesting way to say, hey, we're working on it and it's still coming.
I guess from the indies point of view, it's like you're trying to say like relevant in people's minds. You're not like a big outfit.
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff was like, hey, we're doing an update. This game is coming out in 1.0. Oh, there's a free DLC still coming. Like a lot of the stuff from this wasn't like, there was world exclusives, but there was also like, hey, this game that you already know and love, it's getting an update. Here's what's happening, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just an interesting, because you're a different segment of the market, just different outlook, I suppose.
But yeah, we'll end the podcast there. youtube.com/@everythinginbetween podcast, twitch.tv/scorn if you want to watch live, shows.cast.com/everything-inbetween-podcast if you want to listen to the audio only version on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.